Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, T to T. You can refer to me as Miss T. You guys seen the thumbnail. Charles Martin deserved that loss. We're gonna get into it, review the fights for the this past weekend, along with talking about some other topics. But let's turn to. Welcome back. Welcome back to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, T to T. You can refer to me as Miss T. And as y'all saw by the thumbnail, as I said before, Charles Martin deserved that loss. And I also say, do we put an asterisk by his name or what? Y'all tell me. So, but first, I like to introduce Eric Gomez is in the building with the Bomb Squad. Yes, indeed. Salute to you, King. And Black Love, Black Power, Black Greatness. 100 thumbs up. Hey, salute to you too, King. So I was gonna review the fights for this past weekend. I told y'all when Friday that I wanted to see these fights because I don't know enough about all the heavyweights that we got out there. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to talk intelligently or in depth about the heavyweights because I don't know much of them. I don't know how they get down. I don't know how they fight. So I was like, okay, I need to educate myself on some of these heavyweights. And there's a bunch of new ones cropping out, and shout outs to them for coming up in the world, especially the American heavyweights, because I'm always be for American heavyweights. I don't give a care what color you are, you know. But if it's American fighting American, you know who I'm a favor. I'm a favor the one I favor. And that's just how it is. That's how we all do as fans. But American heavyweights, I would like to see them come into the fold more. I know they're out there, so they need to come on out the woodworks. But we're gonna talk about the creme de la creme one, the main event. Luis Ortiz versus Charles Prince Martin, or Prince Charles Martin, as he liked to be called. Of course, the nickname for Luis Ortiz is King Kong. So that was a good fight. That was an actually good fight. We learned a lot of stuff about that fight. We we're able to glean certain things about each fighter. And that's the things I'm going to speak on. Now, I know a lot of times I play the middle. So everybody say, Miss T, you kind of indecisive or something. I've been told that before. I'm not indecisive. I'm a big person who advocates for compromise. And when you compromise, that's exactly what you do. You play the I try to be fair with everyone. People I like, people I don't like. And in sports, it's no different. I live that way in my life, you know. Compromise is big. If somebody can show me where we as a society do not compromise in our everyday life, I'll be happy to hear that. But since I know that no one can ever say that they don't compromise in life in general, then it's a moot. I ain't gonna say I hate to say argument, debate, or to even be discussed. Compromise is a big part of being a part of a society or a community. So, in the boxing world, the way I compromise is I try not to put too much stock in things that really don't matter. That really don't matter to us as fans. I try to stay in the fan lane. Andrew Charles is in the building. Was popping king. He said, "Salute, Miss T." So that's how I look at Luis Ortiz and Charles Martin for that matter. Now, Luis Ortiz was known to be an avoided heavyweight. A lot of people avoided him. We know that Deontay Wilder didn't, but a lot of people did. People like AJ or the top fighters of that time. We talking 3-4 years ago. A lot of people avoided this man because they knew what we all know. He's a Cuban fighter, means he's excellent in what he does, and he's a southpaw, which means he's going to be difficult for anybody, you know. So people avoid him, and that seemed to be the answer. And it's not the best way to do things because we all know when you get on this bandwagon of avoiding certain fighters, it's almost like it catches on, and then the next person does it, and the next person does it, and the next person does it, and you're essentially freezing out or making it difficult for this dude to pursue his happiness, which is a career in boxing. And that to me is not fair and shouldn't be done. But Luis Ortiz have had to face that fate in his career. Now, one thing I noticed about uh Ortiz, DJ is in the building. What's popping, King? Hey, Big Daddy. Now everybody get that title, but that's Big Daddy right there. Um, DJ, also, I'm reserving Wednesday for you if we're gonna get into some MMA stuff because I don't know it, and I need some guidance on how to start off. Because as I told you, I thought MMA or UFC is kind of vulgar. It's hard to watch, but start me off. Give me some homework assignments. And right now, I'm not paying no money to see no big fights. They come on Showtime though. I can catch those. But I believe I can acclimate myself um, to MMA with you guys' help. So I'm reserving Wednesdays for the talk of MMA. We'll talk about boxing too, but if y'all want to take over and learn us some stuff, Wednesday is your day. Um, so Ortiz, what I notice about him is that his legs are gone. Could I be wrong? Yeah, I could be wrong, but his legs are shot. I couldn't tell if it was his feet or if it was his legs, but definitely a part of his body. And that's not good because if you're a boxer, that's the best attribute you have to the person with the best feet placement or foot placement, however you say it, and the person with the best legs, 9 times out of 10 can win a fight. I mean, that's the first attribute, even before having the best hands. It's the best legs and feet. There I go. I'm gonna mess that up every time. So I noticed that Luis Ortiz has a problem now that he didn't have before. The DJ said, "Miss T, I got you. Showtime and ESPN Plus is all you need." I got ESPN Plus and I got Showtime as well. Only reason I kept Showtime is because of Bellator. Oh, okay. See, and I keep those pay channels for shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I keep HBO, Bill Maher, stuff like that. The Shy, which I was shocked that I became a fan of because I don't like watching things about Chicago. Um, because it's always volatile, you know what I'm saying? Those type of shows, but I've thoroughly enjoyed watching that show. It makes me look at Chicago a little different. So, see, compromise. I did something that I normally wouldn't want to do, but I wound up liking it. So that's how I come to. If y'all ever wonder why I play the middle or whatever, because I'm a compromiser. And to me, in a society, that's what you need to be in order for to get along. Because we have a diverse group of people that we got to be around with different mindsets and this, that, and the other. And the best way to live amongst each other is to compromise. It's also good business because again, I was against MMA, but I hear DJ and them talk about it so passionately. I said, see, it might be something there. So I'm compromising, trying to get into something that I never did want to, and we're gonna see what it do. Andrew said Ortiz hurting Martin didn't surprise me. Ortiz not gassing out during his flurry to finish him did though. Yeah. He's saying he didn't gas out. Okay. DJ said, yeah, my wife loves those shows. She got me hooked on The Chi because she from Illinois and her family still lives there. So she understands all the slang and certain landmarks. That show was the shit. And the other Chicago show, Shameless. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it? That's one of my favorite shows. So it be those shows like that that make me get those pay channels. Not to mention boxing on Showtime. So I most definitely have that. Got Fox, I got ESPN, 1 and 2. I guess it's a one, but I know it's a ESPN 2. So I got enough channels where I can catch some of the stuff that I really want to watch, but I hardly ever watch TV. My TV is set up to take the things that I like, so I'm not missing nothing. You know what I'm saying? But back to Ortiz. So Ortiz, to me, showed his age. As as long as a man feel like he can do it, just like Chisora said, everybody else need to mind their beeswax. If he feel like he can keep fighting, then he can keep fighting. That's on him. He'll keep on fighting. Now, Martin will always have an asterisk beside his name to me, and I'll tell you why. Martin, AJ, at a time when I was into AJ, I didn't become uninterested in AJ until that whole debacle with Deontay Wilder. Then I kind of fell off, and my conclusion with AJ and Deontay is that he's scared. And I don't know how you be a heavyweight and be scared. Like he literally scared to fight Deontay. And then I'm thinking maybe he was all hype. So I watched this fight with Martin and AJ. Now I was on the AJ train at that time. AJ gonna win. I see him coming to the fight. I don't know this man from Adam. I'm like, who is this guy? And he's a champion. Okay, well, let's see what he got to do. So he gets in there, and I'm blocking these people that's probably trolls. I don't know who they are. So he gets in there. DJ said those 2 KOs from Wilder took a lot out of Ortiz. That was my takeaway from the fight. True that. And Ortiz, a cool dude. Martin dropped him and he really buckled down to get back in the fight. He most certainly did. And his chin is almost completely gone. You think Ortiz's chin is almost gone? I don't know. I don't know about that. So basically, hold on. He said, too bad we never really got to see a prime Ortiz. Dude was probably a beast when he was younger. I believe so too. And that's why I don't like all the freezing out of people and shit, and people riding on the bandwagon of their favorite fighters to X somebody out. And you're doing it out of bounds. And so, I like a fighter I know DJ don't like. DJ. I still like Keith Thurman, DJ. I know you don't like him, but I still like him. But so anyway, that Miss T start handing out some wrenches so we can get these bots and trolls out of here. I would love to. Now, how do I do that, y'all? Now, see, I got this is the time when I learn something. When you know better, you do better. How I do that, DJ? Do I go in the settings? Let me see. No, it's not settings. Let me see. Do I just go to y'all's thing? Let me see. No, it don't give me that option. Do I hit the star in the corner of y'all's message? I need to learn how to do that. You know, I thought about that when I first started the channel, but I said, oh, it's not time to do it just yet. But I see now that I'm gonna have to do it. If somebody can walk me through that shit. Cool. But so Martin's fighting AJ, right? I'm looking at this bullshit ass fight, and I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? No competition at all. My first mind was, did he just throw that fucking? And if he did, he was aiding in making the monster we know today called AJ, the man who avoided Dante, the man who come up with excuses and do all this bull crap. He helped and aid that by giving him the leverage by giving him another belt. And I couldn't appreciate that because I mean, the whole purpose of the boxer, right, is to get a championship, become unified, and become undisputed. Why would you be throwing belts away? I don't like cheating at all on no level. DJ said that's a Kyle Mash and Fred question. I don't have a channel, so I don't know. Have no idea. I'm not asking folks, so I probably email Fred and say, "How you give a person a wrench?" Charles Martin sold his belt to AJ just like Joseph Parker. He another one. So I can't. I agree. I cannot divest my time and energy into people who do such things. And so, I mean, did I hate him? Did I go on this campaign to talk about him? No, I just left well enough alone. I just know that I put it in my mental Rolodex that whenever I saw Charles Martin, this is what I'm going to think. And so that was my first mind. Then that it was only confirmed by watching him on undercards elsewhere going forward. I was like, this dude fight better now than he did with AJ. And I didn't see that made him so far ahead and so much daylight in between him and Charles Martin, where Charles had to put up that terrible performance. And it made me say, yeah, you sold that belt. And now you want us to take you seriously. Well, I never will. I ain't gonna hate you, but I just never will. And y'all, for the most part, haven't heard me speak on this. That's not something I leave with. Once you're a cheater to me. And I just don't put no credence or anything into you. So then here we are, fast forward to this past Saturday. Ortiz and him matching up. He's doing a good job, which I'm shocked. But I didn't even know that Charles Martin was a southpaw. So it was two softballs in the ring. And I didn't know that because he didn't last long enough with AJ for me to even give a care. All I could tell you is that he put on a terrible performance with AJ. His fights subsequently after AJ, he did better. And I was like, how? What I miss? And so he was doing very well in the fight. And I believe because Ortiz had some age on him, that was his advantage. Ortiz's legs was buckling, kind of like how Holyfield legs was, but he was better than Holyfield. But it was kind of like how Holyfield legs was buckling back in September when he had that exhibition fight where you be like, man, get him out here. His legs ain't even under him. That's dangerous. That's dangerous for a fighter to get in there and they don't have no legs. If you think about Jose Benavidez, kind of when he was fighting Bud, could have been a better fight. He ain't had no legs. When you think about Sergio Martinez and his legs, remember that when he fought Cotto? And Martinez could fight good. He can fight good. Every time I think of him, it's something kind of shady about him. I like him outside of, what I don't like about him because I just might go by my gut feeling. And, what I think about him, ain't nothing to play around and, casually talk about. I'll just say he was helping somebody out with a bullying problem, and y'all can do the math from there. It won't what it seemed to me. And my gut tells me that, and I always listen to my gut. So, mm, y'all kind of know y'all if y'all if y'all was Sergio Martinez fans, you know what I'm fucking talking about. So, but that I can't casually play around with somebody's name like that, so I won't. But y'all can read between the lines. Anyway, so they was fighting, and his legs, he was getting hit, chin check, whatever you want to call it, and falling, and it had a lot to do with his lack of ability to hold his own with his own legs. Like at first I thought he was slipping, like on some the promos, what you call it, the logos stuff on the mat. At first I thought he was doing that, but then I was like, no, this motherfucker got his legs, and but he don't got a knee brace on. And if he did, I'd be like, at his age, oh fuck, he done. He's over. Like, gone and just retire and take it to the house. He came in there with race and maybe what he need to wear, but he wasn't gonna put it on. So shout outs to Ortiz for not making excuses and just doing what he got to do. But I guarantee you, in time will tell where it's gonna come out that his legs are fucked. He got serious problems, and Ortiz caught him clean with that left. And I swear it's like Martin looked off to yonder like he was pondering something. What he was thinking about, I don't know. He was everywhere but in that ring. And Ortiz was like, shit, it ain't the end of the fight. And just commenced the beating on his ass. Now, there were some hits behind the head, but it was all about how Martin was turning himself. And, I don't think that Ortiz purposely went for the back head and all this stuff, back of his head and everything, but it was the way Martin was moving and turning around. Martin was gone. He was literally gone. This dude was staring out into space. He was gone. And so I think he purposely got his hands tied up in the ropes. And, I'm not mad at that because you got to do what you got to do. He needed time to recoup, and that gave him some time. Just like when I said that Sean Porter, and some people don't agree, that Sean Porter was doing the same thing when he banged on the mat when he fought Bud. That wasn't out of just frustration. That was out of buying some time because in that moment, I don't think Sean Porter could have rose to his feet. In fact, when he first tried to rise to his feet, he lifted that one leg up, and I want to say it's his left leg up, and it trembled. That's what told me, oh, you buying time. Am I mad at Sean Porter for that? No. But Bud hurt him. And people to suggest otherwise is just lying, or being biased. But Bud hurt him worse than anybody else had. Nobody has hurt Sean Porter like that but Bud. And Sean Porter hurt is different from most people hurt. Martin was out cold. Show was. It said Baumgartner just had a KO similar to that, where her opponent just got stiffened up, but didn't fall. Yeah. Remember Timothy Bradley used to, that's why they call him Man of Steel or something like that. He would be out cold on his feet and had some kind of a way to fortitude to throw his hands. It won't like no serious punches, but anything can happen in the sport of boxing. But Timothy Bradley used to be out cold. that part of his fights, I used to be loving it. I was here for it because I'm like, man, this motherfucker got out, and he still know he in the fight. He ain't doing no damage, but he know he in the fight, and he survived a lot of that. He survived because other people could have just really got him out of there, but they didn't. So Martin bought some time with the ropes. And I'm used to the ref normally saying, "Nah, I can't help you. You gotta get out yourself. You gotta get up yourself, player." And he had to help him out the ropes, which I know the ref didn't want to. Now in this fight, I don't think the ref did that great of a job. I don't think he did a horrible job, but I don't know what he was thinking about, which prevented him from calling the fight early. Because once Martin stared up into space, the ref should have been like, "No more." At that point. But the ref let it go on. He untangled him. He let it go on. And he was seriously hurt because Ortiz rocked him again several times. Those hits hurt to the point that Martin was out of his mind at the end of the fight. Now we know Ortiz live here in the States, so I'm sure he not speak some English. I bet you his kids do. So I know he knows how to speak something. But I saw him mouth, get the what he said, fuck you or something. He cursed at him. Damn, I just drew a blank. He cursed at him like either get the fuck out of my face or fuck you, motherfucker, or something. He mouthed something in English. I was like, oh, as he pushing Martin, because Martin didn't believe it was over, and Martin felt like he was cheated. And Luis is like, nah, nigga, you lost. The ref was trash. He was too small to be in there anyway. Yeah, him and the other ref with the beard, because he was trash too. Both of them, most of the refs that night was trash to me. But yeah, I don't know if the ref didn't want to get caught up in no political whatever. Stop playing with these fighters, y'all. This how some fighters be winning. Like I know DJ, you like leave the Tyson Fury and Wilder thing alone, but I can't. If the ref do their job, things like this wouldn't happen. Every time a ref, don't be on it. I'm not saying the ref got to be perfect because we humans after all. Nobody's perfect. But God damn, you couldn't get that one right. The motherfucker is staring into space. We don't know who he talked to, who he see. He might have seen a loved one that passed away. I mean, he was in another realm. If that wasn't a perfect time to stop the fight, I don't know what is. He was vulnerable. And you cannot just be standing there vulnerable and somebody like a Luis Ortiz is about to pound on you. That's dangerous. He could have killed him. So I hope the ref go back and look and take some lessons from that fight too, to never let shit like that happen again. But Martin clearly wasn't in his right mind for a while, even after the fight. But a lot of things was exposed. And sometimes when I say stuff exposed, I don't mean it in a negative way. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Hold on. And I'm gonna make sure that my phone lines are open. If you guys want to chime in. So what y'all think about that? I mean, it's just to me, Martin is lucky that he got out there alive. I'm saying that. I'm saying Luis Ortiz is exposed as well. I'm saying that. I like Luis Ortiz. I don't have no problem. But them leg issues, somebody young could really exploit that. Like Big Baby Anderson, Sanchez, definitely Deontay, even AJ, definitely Usyk or whatever. Definitely somebody like Tyson Fury, even Taco Meat. PGH Big Dog is in the building. He says, salute Queen T. Salute to you too. So what y'all think about that? I mean, to me, that fight exposed Luis Ortiz. And I like him. I want him to go on and get big fights. I want him to get one good big mega fight where they pay this man right. I would love that, because why I say that is because he's at the end of his career. He's a great man, a great father. I mean, just how he interact with his family. I love it. I was like, wow. I've been on other shows where we talk about how the roles that women should play and men should play. And a lot of us American women, we're not submissive these days. But I'm gonna tell y'all guys, is easy to be submissive, even as an independent person like I am, in the way I think. I can submit, but I can only submit to logical shit. And just the way he carry himself, I see him as a dominating figure in his household, as a king, as a person that run everything. Everything got to go through him. But look how he treat his family. Look what he did for his daughter. They work as a team. I don't blame him. I could somebody like that I could submit to. He ain't my type, but I'm just saying, just the way he carry himself. You know what I'm saying? It's easy, fellas. Y'all got to figure out the riddle to get women to do that. PGH Big Dog said Ortiz still can beat most of these heavyweights, but those bastards aged him out criminal. Exactly. And that's what they did. That's what they did. That's why I don't like all this marinating and shit. Like to a certain, I try not to say much about it, but after a while, I mean, when it's going past years, at least for me, I think my cutoff is a year and a half. It depends. Every case, you gotta take a case by case basis. If a person hurt or something, all of that stuff factor in. But shit, after about a couple of years, come on, nigga, shit. You know, PTA said that best I seen Martin look until Ortiz put him into the game of freeze. Ortiz still got that power. You know, they say that's the last thing to go, right? PGH, the power is the last thing to go. Yes, indeed. And like from his waist up, he still got it. It's just them legs. To somebody who could recognize that and take advantage of it, Luis might have some problems on his hands. He might. Presidential Rafar is in the building. Was popping king. He said, "I walk this earth like a god." Ortiz sent that boy to the spirit world. He was in another realm for sure. He was in another realm. I was like, "Where you going, bro?" He was thinking about something else, everything but in that ring. It's almost like he was frozen. And when he woke up, he woke up to before he got hit. That's why he felt like he was being cheated and stuff, like out of his mind. So yeah, I'm glad that he lost. I feel like I can't confirm it, I can't prove it, but I truly feel like he sold that fucking IBF championship to AJ. I can't get over that. You don't get to be uh like that and then come back and try to act like all is good. No. No. Your credibility at that point is shot. I feel that way. I'm not telling nobody else to feel that way, but that's how I feel. It's shot. And when you're a man, if you ain't got no credibility, I don't know. That's like the kiss of death. What y'all think about that? That assessment. As a guy, as a man, all y'all have is y'all credibility. But that's the same for women too. But we talking about these particular fighters. So as a man, all you have is your credibility. And once that's shot, it be shot with folks. And everybody have to be the judge of what they think. For me, selling an IBF championship, credibility gone. There's no other way for me to look at it. You can't put on that kind of performance with AJ and then turn around and your subsequent next fights. Every time I see you, you're so much better. Shit don't add up. I'll sell it too for 7 million. It's prize fighting. Martin said he was injured in camp. I mean, I think a lot of people say, "Yeah, I said it too." I be saying, "Oh, I'll jump in the ring with them for a minute, just to get a couple of mil." But for real, you supposed to be a boxer. I mean, if you couldn't, if you were injured so bad that you didn't want to show up to the fight, sometimes you got to take the heat when you got injuries. Look at Keith Thurman. You got to take the heat because you injured. You can't put on the best performance. If you know you going in there with somebody who's for real, then you got to take the heat and say, I'm gonna have to pass. I have to pull back and regroup and da 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 da. Take whatever heat. It's better than becoming a meme or selling your belt or your championship. Lynn Ray is in the building. Was popping king. He said, "All hail the Queen T." To chat, salute to you too, King. So that was my take on Ortiz Martin. Did anybody else have a different take or whatever? Or sound like most of you saying the same thing that I'm saying? But if you did have a different take, I put the link in the chat. The phone lines are open at 706-804-4449. That's 706-804-4449. Feel free to let a sister know. Let us know. The Sanchez had a good showing. He was all right. I was probably more impressed with his last showing than this one. He was all right. I you know, I'm glad I did watch the fights. I will tell you what's the most special thing about this weekend's fights was the fact that it cost $39.99. I like them to keep that party going because it's more worth it. You tend to buy more fights. If you had 2 or 3 pay-per-views going on in the same month and y'all charging those kind of prices, motherfuckers will probably buy them. As it is now, you got to decide which one of the 3 or the 2 that you're gonna buy. And everything is pay-per-view for the most part. It used to be pay-per-view was far and in between, but now it's like, a couple of times a month. Or just when you pay for one, like, okay, we paid for this one. I don't know of any more coming up this month pay-per-view. It might be, but then right in February 5th, we got Keith Thurman and Barrios, which I will try to see that one. Sanchez was very disappointing. He lost all his momentum from beating F.A. Ajaba. Yep. But he he exposed F.A. F.A. was never fan friendly. Neither was Ruslan Provoknikov, and y'all know where he at right now. As we always talk about, it's the business or whatever. I don't ride nobody for not being fan friendly, neither, because it comes down to the personality. Just because they're not fan friendly don't necessarily mean that they're mean. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it do mean that. So balance in between. You just got to know how to call that one. Some people just not they're introverts, and I don't want to get on the bandwagon of hating somebody or knocking somebody because they're introvert, because that's something that can't be helped. You was like that from once you was a little kid. Your personality was being able to be seen and gleaned when you like 3 months on. So it ain't like you just picked it just to be picking it. It's just who you are. But F.A. Ajaba, mm-mm. His was a little bit more than I'm an introvert. He's not fan friendly at all. In fact, I mean, he don't want to have to deal with no fans or anything. It don't even register in his head that that's something he should do. He's more like, I'm trying to be the baddest dude, but I'm an opportunist. And he got exposed in the ring. So now look at him. So if he was fan friendly, then he could pick himself up and dust off, and maybe the fans are, push him with their support back up on the horse. But no, see, and he did that to himself. Sanchez was trash. Does this man not know? I guess you're saying no. Did this man know what a double jab or combination is? Eddie Reynoso, most overrated trainer. I believe that too. If they ain't got the T, then his fighters ain't the shit. Andrew Charles said, I was looking forward to Sanchez and much as Ortiz. I was expecting another FA like performance from him. I'm not impressed with Sanchez. I was, like I said, the last outing, but nah, not now. I'm not impressed with him at all. And this man is a fraud if he's I guess 220. Oh, y'all was talking about his age today. Yes, he looks considerably older. Now, I don't know if it's the wear and tear of ass whoopings over the years or boxing or something, but he does look much older than what he say. Time will tell things. For all we know, Louise could be 48. We don't know. I mean, a lot of times you're not gonna get accurate ages of these people, especially if they coming from other countries. And in countries like Mexico, you won't even get the full total reveal of certain things about fighters that come out of Mexico, and they supposed to be a nuanced, up to date country, right? But it's to be expected. This man's, oh, you meant to say 29. Yeah, nah, this nigga ain't in his 20s. I know that a lot of people look at black folks and think, oh man, you look way younger. Like I get told all the time, I look way younger than what I am. But when I look in the mirror, I see every year. I see all my age. And when I look at other black people, I can see their age. I can guess and be right there in the bar, right there, real close or whatever, versus my friends who are not black that be like way the fuck off. But hey, we take the compliment. Hey, it's all good. But yeah, I'm he's got skin like me. He ain't in his 20s, y'all. So cut the shit. they that dude ain't in his 20s. Um he had an eye showing though. He won. He did what he had to do without. I wasn't really paying much attention to him to be honest. But I got bored real quick. Martin did well. Talking about Frank Martin. He did very well. He's a person that I would like to follow. What about you guys? Y'all think Martin is somebody we should follow? What was he at? 130 or 135? Fresh my memory, but if he's at 135, he got some good fights to go. I heard he called out Haney. I watched his fight, but I didn't hear that part when he called out Haney. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I didn't hear it. So, but I heard that he called out Haney, and that would be good. I mean, that would be excellent. He looks like he gonna give some people a hard road to go down when you messing with him. Black love, black power, and black greatness said, I hate when we black people use the N-word. It make my skin crawl. I'm sorry, you must hate me. Because I use it a lot. I don't mean to. I actually got better. I agree with you. That's something we should pull back on. It's a work in progress, black love. But I've been saying it for a long time. So I have to like scale back on it. I probably been saying it longer than some of y'all been living. So I just have to work on trying to pull it back on. I hope you don't hate me. I am working on it though, black love, but it ain't gonna come easy. Sometimes that shit just roll off my tongue and it makes your teeth white. Makes your teeth white when you say it. I'm just joking. Joking. You don't look 51 years old, Queen T, but salute to you, your humbleness. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not 51, I'm 50. But I know a lot of people say I didn't, but you know what? It's not a shock. I don't some people will say, why you bring up your age? I mean, it's my age. I was always the youngest in my groups. So when I was coming up, I was always young. I wasn't old enough to do nothing. Then one day I became the oldest to do everything. But as far as looking younger, that has always been my situation. And now I can appreciate it and love it. But when I was younger, I hated it. For instance, I'm trying to get a job like the next dude. See, I almost said the N word, black love. Just think about you. I was trying to get a job like the next dude or the next girl. I'm trying to get a job so I can buy me some clothes too, and get my hair done. As a teenager, I go up in there and fill out applications. I could never get a job. And I started taking it personal, like, damn, I done went to every establishment. But I think in the long run, they probably thought that I was 10 or 11 or something. And here I am 16 when I was 21. People thought I was 14. It's, it's good now, but for years, I couldn't stand the fact that I'm like, God damn, I wouldn't come here and try to do this if I wasn't old enough or like getting into clubs. You know how many times I had to go through a whole lot just to get in the club? And I was a clubber. Just best believe. A word only has power when you allow it to affect you. True, true, true. I love you, but I don't love that word. I feel you, black love. It's a work in progress. Don't throw me out with the bathwater, though. Just understand I'm working on it, but old habits are hard to die. And I agree with you. Like the older you get, I mean, it's just not befitting to be talking like that. I tried not to talk negative, period. And so, I mean, we probably believe in some of the same things. Like, I don't even watch reality shows. Why? Because I don't like people that like the ones I see in reality shows. None against none against them. It's a hustle. It's their way of making money. Cool. I didn't play it in my house because I didn't want my kids to grow up thinking that that's how we act. And then, people impressionable minds to imitate what they see. So I think about that. I learned how to when I'm at home and I'm relaxed around my friends and all that, I be me. When I'm at work, I be professional. When I'm around, school teachers or whatever, I be professional. And I didn't want my kids, especially my daughter, grow up, thinking that crap was normal in the way to act. Um, and all the drama and shit. Hell to the so it gets no play up in there, up in here. Um, we was watching scientific shit, cartoons, everything positive. I've even banned my children from watching Disney at times. Why? Because some of them kids on them shows had attitudes that I didn't think a kid should have. And then I see it in my kids, and I was like, "Oh hell no, you can't watch that no more." And it be these little PG shows where the girl got an attitude. What the fuck she mad at? What is she mad at? Look like she got a lot from her parents in this show, but she's yelling at her parents let her get away with that shit. I was like, because y'all fuck around, try that shit over here. It's gonna be some furniture moving. um, You said you age like fine wine. Thank you. I don't think I look my age, but I'm definitely feeling my age. And that's another thing too. If you don't look it, you feel it. I feels all of it. But back to the boxing. So in the end, we're gonna walk away from this weekend thinking Ortiz was exposed. Watch. It would not shock me. How about y'all? It's not gonna shock me to see a bunch of heavyweights come out the woodwork now wanting their name to be called as a potential opponent of Luis King Kong Ortiz. That is not gonna shock me. In fact, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for that. And Martin, you just might as well just go say I like Sanchez, you are older. In my opinion, you are older 29. Um, I don't know that for a fact. Frank Martin, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch with interest where he go from there. If Devin Haney does not get the fight with Cambosos, which I hope and pray that he does, because it's fair, it's logical, and it's fair for either one of them to be that close to undisputed. Why wouldn't they fight? I felt the same way about Castano and Jamel Charlo. For them to be that close to being undisputed, why wouldn't you run that back? I feel that same way about Earl and Bud, and I'm going to talk about them in a minute. But when you that close for greatness, because that is greatness, that is the Super Bowl of boxing. Why wouldn't you do it? So Haney should be Camboso's next opponent. But if that don't happen and Cambosos do the 55 fake out and pick somebody else, then Haney, I'm not gonna understand just sitting around waiting for the fights you want. Start picking some fighters. You got Isaac Cruz, now you got Frank Martin. You got some people that's actually saying they want to fight you. And it seems like it could be a good fight. This is how you gonna show us that you can go through adversity, because part of going through adversity is meeting up with different styles. That's part of going through adversity. And so if you're not gonna do that, then what you there for? That you fighting the best and only the best, or just only going for the best, don't tell me nothing. Fight everybody. But when you're in your quest, when you're in your zone, like he is right now, yes, the ideal situation is to face Cambosos. Nobody else matters. If I'm Haney, nobody else matters. I'm not looking at nobody else. But you then can't wait for them because you already know how they carry you. So don't do that, Devin. This time around, don't do that. If you're not gonna get the fight and you already see the delay gonna start again and you can't make the weight, go on and move up to 140. or fight some other folks, people who will fight you, who do want a payday. It's prize fighting. Okay. So it was okay. It was okay. I did enjoy myself. Now, this Rice guy, I wasn't impressed with him neither. I wasn't impressed with him at all. And we did all right. Um, was impressed about his performance. Boring to me. That's just how I see it. I'm not saying that if I call you boring, that don't mean that you can't, do the opposite and be exciting. But you just Saturday night, you was boring. Cuban fighter and African, they always give us wrong age, yeah, because we can't fact check it. And Mexicans, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. 'Cause they don't have them things like little inconvenient things like vital statistics that could cure all that shit, you know. Um, but if again, Haney, you know, I want y'all to hold them to that, but I will definitely hold them to it. If Cambosos don't give you that fight, you got a couple of people sitting in the wings that said that they don't mind fighting you. Either fight them, or I guess you got to move up. It is your choice, it's your career, but I wouldn't agree with just sitting around while they avoiding you. But I do agree to keep your eye on the prize and don't worry about nobody until you rectify that shit, because undisputed is yours for the taking and legitimately yours in every way that you can look at it. So I'm gonna move on. But that was an okay outing, and like I said, nothing beats the price. We should all campaign for pay-per-view to be that price, because it's getting to the point, especially if we're not gonna see the fights we need to see or want to see or should happen. What's the point of buying $100 fights? What's the point? Because at this point, we're participating in a soap opera, and that's not what boxing's supposed to be. But I guess that's what it's morphing into, a goddamn soap opera. So moving on, Leo Santa Cruz says that Isaac Cruz should get a rematch with Tank Davis. Do y'all agree? I agree. What y'all think? I think he owned to something with that one. What do y'all think? Because a lot of people feel like Tank washed him. A lot of people don't. I don't feel like Tank washed him. I think Tank know he didn't wash him. If you look at his response as they was about to call who won the fight, he wasn't sure. I'm just like go by him. If you look at the poll that they did in the end of the fight, 52%, 50 something percent of the people felt like Tank did not win that fight. Now, granted, like it was like 16 or something. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me no more, but it was like 16 or so people percent who felt like they don't know either way. Could have went either way or a draw or something. And then a certain percent gave it to Cruz, and then a percent gave to Tank, for the win. But if you add up to the people that didn't think the Tank won, if you add both of those columns up, it was over 50% that thought he didn't win. So with a controversial decision, this is what Leo Santa Cruz is saying. There's a controversy there. So you guys should handle the controversy. Now, I think that even though Tank and them would say things like, we don't overlook any fighter, sometimes that shit be lip service. I think you did overlook Isaac Cruz. I think you did a little bit, because the second time around, if there is, I think Tank ain't gonna be playing with him. I said the what I thought was the winning strategy from the jump, which was don't go in there and be strategic like you were with Barrios and Leo Santa Cruz, strategic facing your punches, taking your time. Not this dude. You have to go in there and straight out boxing, and when you have your opportunities, hit him with the rah-rah. Tank came to that conclusion later in the fight, not at the beginning. PGA said Tank won 8-4 with a broken hand. More hate for a black fighter. It's not hate for a black. Well, I don't know about. I can't speak for anybody else, but I didn't see 8-4. I saw, in my opinion, I saw that I wouldn't have been mad at a draw, but if I had to pick, I did edge Tank. If I had to pick, but I would not have been mad at a draw. And Isaac gave him a lot of more trouble than anybody else had gave him. And I'm not one of the people that's like, just because Tank gets everybody out, because he got one of the best knockout ratios in boxing, probably the best, I want to say. Let me see. His was better than Deontay's, this percentage. But just because Tank went 12 rounds, that doesn't mean that somebody beat him. I'm not one of those neither. But I don't think he easily won that fight. I scored an 8-4 Tank when I watched it live. I rewatched it a couple of times since, and I'm not mad at anybody who thinks Cruz might win or at least got a draw. That's what I saw from the get-go. I wasn't even scoring, but they gave and take. They gave and took, or however you say it. They gave as much as they took. Both sides. And the pressure was always on. Tank had to, take him to a clinic a little bit, but he didn't do that like throughout, like you can't say a whole round he outboxed him. A whole round he just kept doing that. Like 2 and 3 rounds he just outboxed him. I didn't see that. I saw within the round at times he outboxed him. And yeah, he broke his hand. Okay, he broke his hand in the fight. Tank said 5th or 6th round, something like that. But that don't explain them first couple of rounds. And that can happen to you. You can get an injury, but you have to power through that. That's asking a lot. You ask me to power through some shit like that, I can't do it. I break my hand, fight over, timeout. Training timeout. Automatically. I know that, but that's why I'm not in that ring. But just looking at it, now you're supposed to power through it. And that's asking a lot. I grant it is. And Tank did an excellent job for him to have sustained that injury. It was a fun fight, Andrew. I had it a draw. See? Some people just saw it differently, but if I had to pick, that would be Tank. Now, the second time around, this is why I say that Tank was lip service when he said, we don't overlook any fighter. You did overlook him a little bit, just a little bit. You came in shape, but you thought it was going to be one way and it wasn't. So that tells me you overlooked him. The second time around, he will not make that mistake again. He won't. Remember in Hunt for Red October when he shot that missile at the sub, and the sub closed the distance because there's a certain way when they shoot off missiles, and it's all about timing and everything, and then they have to arm the missile. Well, by closing the distance, you cut off the time it took to arm the missile, and the missile hit the hull of the sub and broke to pieces, right? So what did that captain say? He said, good job. But then it was another missile in the water. He said, well, this time Tubalov is not going to make that same mistake. He armed that shit as soon as it got out the tubes. That's what's going to happen with Tank. Tank ain't going to make that mistake no more. As soon as they say ding, ding, Tank in that ass. Outboxing. He going to do everything he should have did from the jump in the first fight they have. But I'm with Leo. There should be a rematch. I just see that. Andrew Charles said, best submarine movie ever, period. Exactly. That in U-57, what was it, U-571? One of the best movies I've ever seen. That shit was so damn near accurate, and that's all I'm going to say about that. That shit was real accurate, like, god damn. But, yeah, and that's how I see this next fight. If they do rematch, and he should, I mean, give him time to fix it, his hand to heal up, and then run it back to make sure there, and this will, to me, catapult Tank's star power like even more because this the guy, Mayweather did that. Every guy that people thought that Mayweather either lost or had trouble with, he was like, "Hey, you feel that way? We can run it back." So I'm just saying, if people trying to imitate this guy, or we know he's TBE, and that's the fighter that you want to imitate um or emulate, that's you got to have the same attitude and vigor he had. If y'all thought it was fishy or controversial, run that shit back immediately. I'm not hating on Tank. I'm a Tank fan, but I do agree with Leo's assessment of that. Why do Leo feel that way? Because he feels a lot of fans feel it was too close, or lost, or he lost the fight, or it should have been a draw. So that's why they feel that way. Um, Boxing matchups. The Freeman and he says, "Salute Queen MST. Salute to you too, King." And that's a good reason for saying you should run it back. Um, he called it a controversial decision. I would say so. I agree with that to a certain extent. Yeah. I told y'all about the polls. Like if you add the two columns that didn't think that Tank won, that's more people who thought he didn't win, people who thought he did. You know, if he's not really going for belts, because Tank have said out his mouth that fuck the belts or whatever, or he don't care for the belts, then you going for prestige, or the sure bravado of it all. You want to be the best dude. I mean, then I guess the only prestige you're gonna get out of boxing is being undefeated. If you're not going for the belts, nobody's gonna follow a defeated fighter time and time and time again. So your only claim to fame is gonna be that you're undefeated. And if somebody thinks that you actually were defeated, run it back. Anybody disagree? Anybody disagree? Like I said, I put the link in the chat. Y'all disagree, you know, go ahead and tell me, learn or something. But that's how I'm looking at it. No hate to Tank. And Leo also felt like that Tank couldn't handle Cruz pressure. I'm gonna tell you, it was a struggle. We see the Tank eventually handled his pressure, but it was a struggle. Did he handle it at 100%? Was it like, phew, easy? Like, anyway, no, he didn't do it that way. He persevered and he edged them out, in my opinion. He handled his pressure, meaning he edged them out. But I swear it was neck and neck to me. I would give Tank 7-5. I would score it like that. Like I said, I would not have been upset with a draw at all. But y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm gonna move on. Teofimo Lopez. We all know he's probably gonna move up to 140. I would have liked him to get a do-over with Kambosos. But hey, you lost your shot. You ain't giving rematches either. So Kambosos, I ain't mad at him if he gonna move on. We better move on to Devin. That's all I can say. But possible fights that they're throwing out at Teofimo possibly will be Jose Pedraza, or Montana Love. That's gonna be a good match. Throwing them right into the Lions Den right away. And guess what? That should be the case. Cause I don't know about y'all. I know people don't like T.O., but I feel like out of all the lightweights, T.O. went the harder path. I just feel that way. I see him in more fights, more harder fights than any of them motherfuckers. And that's just how I see it. That's what makes me kind of still endeared to T.O., because I feel like he did the harder work. I think he did. I can't remember every fighter that he fought. I see them in my head. I'm better with faces than names, you know. However, when I think about all the fighters that he's had, or the fights that those were no slouches. Those were some hard matches, and he persevered every time. This is how I became a fan of T.O.'s in the first place. I look at Deontay's fights. I can't say that. It's not a lot of 135s that he fought. It's not a lot. He's been moved around. You know what I'm saying? He's a good fighter. He's a great fighter. And I told y'all before, I thought um this about one person, and that was Javante Davis, that I really believed that he could have been undisputed at 130, 135, and 140 if he set his mind to it. Who has done that before? Who has done that? And he's the one fighter I feel that about. As much as I'm a big Bud fan, I'm not 100% sure that Bud can do that. If Bud say he want to do that, then I'll rock with Bud. But am I convinced? Not like how I was convinced about Tank Davis. I was convinced that at 130, 135, and 140, he had that. I was convinced. So I'm just saying, uh T.O. gonna be putting the Lions Den, and I think he can handle it. I think he needs to in order for him to rectify his downfall. Because he's had a big downfall. No excuses. He lost. He lost to somebody he shouldn't have lost to. Do I believe that his health played a factor? Yeah. But it don't matter. It really don't matter. You again, if you that sick, sometimes you gotta hurt the fans to make sure you take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? But I know the bravado of men. He just wasn't gonna let that happen. I get it. But it's more on Floyd than Tank. He don't make the calls on who he fights, and Tank said that. But Tank is a grown man, right or wrong. He's a grown man, and he needs to take control of his grown man life and career. Just like Floyd had to. Just like we said Bud had to. Nobody liked when Bud was with top rank. Top rank won't doing him no favors. And Bud complained. Bud has actually said, "Hey, you couldn't secure the fights that I needed when I was there. What makes you think you could do it while I'm gone?" Talking specifically about Errol Spence. And well, we all blame Bud. It's your dumb ass for going over there to top rank. That has somewhat relevance. Yes, a lot of us don't want to go into depth and talk about another man's business and what choices he make, but it can be talked about. If you know who you dealing with or what type of dude, what kind of time he on, then why do you put yourself in that predicament? It must be something you're doing it for that we all are not privy to. And we starting to see that when it came to Bud. Yeah, but when he signed that contract, he'd do anything until his contract is up. Yeah, and Tank the same way. If Tank is with Mayweather, he really don't have no power. As he said, all but said out his mouth, until his contract is up. Now Tank has re-signed Mayweather, I'm sure, or did he sign a contract that? And I froze up. I don't know why. I hope y'all can hear me. So, did he sign a contract? I'm looking at this frozen video. That shit is funny. Close your mouth, girl. Yeah, but did he sign a contract where he where it was like this page isn't responding. Damn. Hold on, y'all. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can somebody say something in the chat to let me know y'all can hear me still? I'm looking at myself on another one that says still. So what I'm gonna have to do? Oh, it came back. All right. What's up, Dwayne? What's up, King?
What's going on with you?
Nothing much. What's good?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about Tank's situation because Tank signed with Floyd when he first came into the game, because Floyd got Tank when
Right.
he was young, and so we don't know what was the length of his contract. As far as I
Mm-hmm.
know, he hasn't re-signed with Floyd. He's still on that same contract that he signed with Floyd when he first got in. So we don't know exactly how long he signed with Floyd because it hasn't been put out there if when his contract is supposed to be up. So I mean, his contract might be coming to an end. That's why you're starting to hear a lot of stuff that Tank is coming out saying about what fights he wants and stuff like that, because his contract might be coming to an end. And that's the reason why Floyd is starting to hint at other fighters. Like they hint at is a rumor that they supposed to be talking about Tank and Gary Russell Jr. in the summer of this year. So I think his contract might be coming to an end. But we don't know yet because, like I said, it's never been put out there how long he signed a contract with Floyd.
So you think Floyd, if that's the case, you think Floyd is doing the proverbial throw him to the wolves if you ain't gonna stay with me type thing?
I mean, in a way, yeah, because you got to understand, like I said, Tank is Floyd's only cash cow. Nobody else is making money for Floyd like Tank is. So Floyd is moving Tank around where he think he can get the big money fights at. But he also don't want to put Tank in a position where Tank can possibly lose a fight. So he's putting him in fights that he think that's going to draw a big crowd. Like most of his fights has been the Latino base because he know a lot of Latinos going to come out and support their fighters. So majority of Tank fights has been Latinos, but Tank has never fought an African American. He's never fought none of the big name fighters because, like I said, Tank is Floyd's money, is his money cow, and he don't want Tank to take a loss. Because if Tank lose, Floyd thinking, okay, that's going to be the end of Tank. I can't make no more money on him like that, like he's making on Tank right now.
But see, you know, I'm gonna say Tank made a mistake, and that's an excellent point. I have never thought about the fact that he hasn't fought an African American. It's pretty much Latinos all the time, or something other. You know,
Right.
damn, that's crazy because I'm looking at big picture. Okay, say he was a young guy. Somebody should have been there for him, not to sign this many years with a promotion company. I think there should be a law where you cap at how many years a promotional company can have a fighter, like 3 years top. You know, that way you ain't signing your whole life over, because the damage that these promotional companies can do when you're not doing what they want you to do, it's just terrible for the fighter's career in the long run. But think about it. He's moving him around. They doing a money grab. Tank don't give a fuck about belts now, and this motherfucker is still in his 20s. So if he decide not to fight with Mayweather, what he gonna do? He gonna be long in the tooth to come back and try to care about some shit he should have cared about in the beginning, which was getting these fucking belts and becoming undisputed. So I mean, what is Tank gonna do?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, Tank doesn't pull the shots for his fights. So all he do is go by what Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather put in front of him. He don't make the calls on his fight. So he couldn't go for those title fights if Floyd and them is not going to sign off on him. Now he can call them out all day, but if Floyd and Leonard Ellerbe not going to sign off on him, there's nothing he can do about it. What he just going to sit out and not fight nobody and not make no money? So he got to do pretty much what they said. Same position that Bud was in. He had to fight whoever Bob put in the ring for him. I mean, Bud had a little more say so because Bud actually went back and re-signed. Now we don't know if Tank re-signed or not. We just know that Tank is signed with Floyd Mayweather. We don't know if his first contract ended and he re-signed for another contract. We don't know. But that's what I'm saying. With Tank is a little different because he can't pull the shots. So all he can do is say, yeah, I want this fighter. But if Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd don't sign off on it, it's nothing he can do. Because he said he will fight all of those big fighters. He said but it's up to Floyd and Leonard Ellerbe who they put him in the ring with. So he said he want to fight Devin Haney, Tio, Loma, Gary Russell. He said he want to fight all of them, but he can't pull those shots.
The worst thing he could have said, as far as I'm concerned, is when he said "fuck the belts." I was like, "Come on,
Well, he
bro."
said he said that to Kambosa more so because he don't want to pay the sanctioning fee. That was his
Mm-hmm.
more his say so all for that. He was like, man, fuck those belts. I'll fight you for free. I don't need those belts because he don't want to pay the sanctioning fee. But he has a belt right now. He had 3 belts. He dropped one of them, and he still got 2 belts. So he don't want to pay
No,
all those
I
things
think
because
he dropped the other one. I think he had to
well, I
drop the
mean,
other one.
if he dropped the
Yeah.
other one, then he would have the IBF, the WBO, the WBA, and
Mm-hmm.
well, the franchise I don't count. I don't count the franchise. If he petitioned for it, then I mean it is what it is. But I don't count the franchise though. But he will have the WBO, the WBA, and the IBF.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
he would have 3 belts that he would have to pay a sanction fee every time he fight. And he like, I don't want to pay those sanction fees, so I don't care about those belts. But
But here's the
at the
thing.
same,
But here's
no, go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
no,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
Now I was gonna say, but here's the thing: if he fighting top echelon fighters, eventually those belts gonna be on the line, and whether you have the belt or not, neither one of them have the belt. They just fighting for a vacant belt. You have to pay the sanctioning fees every time that title is on the line. So you
Right,
paying
right, right.
sanctioning fees either way. He could have scooped up the belts and then dropped them shits. What's hard about
No,
that?
I think it was more talk because Cambosa was like he was shopping around of which fighter he
Mhm.
want, and he was like, man, I don't care about your belts. I'll fight you for free. I don't need those belts. And I think
Mm.
that's what it was more so. He was just telling Cambosa those belts don't mean shit to me. I'll fight you for free. So
Okay.
Cambosa was
Okay.
trying to use those belts as a bargaining tool, and Tank was saying, "I don't need those belts. I'll fight you without those belts." That's more so how I took it when he said it to Cambosa. It wasn't more so he don't care about the belts. It was more so
Mhm.
Cambosa was trying to use the belts as a bargaining tool. He was like, "Man, I don't need those belts. I'll fight you without the belts."
I think to all fighters, any young fighters listening, don't say that. It's like a turnoff. I don't know about you, Dwayne, but it's a turnoff to me as a boxing fan to hear that you don't want to get no fucking championships, or you don't want to be unified, or you don't want to be undisputed. That's a complete
Yeah,
turnoff. Then what the fuck am I following you for? Why am I
yeah.
paying for anything that you do?
I mean,
That's
yeah,
what
I
I
mean
be thinking.
that's true, but I mean, everybody know you get into boxing to be the champion. You want to be the best in your division, so you want to be the
Mhm.
champion. So you saying I don't want the belts. I mean, like I said, I took it as he was just saying it to
Yeah.
Cambosa. It didn't really mean that because, like I said, he has a belt. He's had a belt ever since he fought Pedraga. Ever since he fought Pedraga, he's always had a belt. So I just took it as he was just saying that to Cambosa. It's not that he really don't want no belts. It was more so he don't
Mhm.
want to pay the sanctioning fees and he don't care about those belts. I'll fight you without the belts. I don't need to have those belts in order to fight you. But I mean, I understand
Okay.
what you're saying. You're not supposed to put it out there because you fighting to be the champion. That's what you in there for. You want to
Mhm.
be known as the best boxer in your weight class or best boxer in your era. So you fight to get the championship so you can be considered the best boxer.
And if anybody watching what Floyd did, you never heard that come out his mouth. Floyd scooped
No,
them
Floyd
belts up
always
and
had a
he
belt.
dumped them shits. And he dumped them
Yeah,
shits though, right? So he could feel fuck them belts, but he didn't do it in a way that diminished what he have built. You know what I'm saying? If Floyd dumped them, we wasn't the wiser to after the fact. Floyd didn't give a fuck about holding no damn belts. But he would take them
yeah,
from you. At least he would
yeah.
do that.
Floyd,
And
yeah,
yeah.
Floyd had what he had 26 WBC championships.
Mm,
He got
yes.
26 WBC championship and that's one of the things he always brag about. I beat more champions than anybody in the history of boxing. So I mean,
Mhm.
it is what it is. But like I said, Tank, like I said, until Tank get out of his contract or if he decided to get out of his contract, or until Floyd and Leonard Ellerbe decide to put him in with big fighters, is really nothing that Tank can do, except for take the fights that they're gonna give him. Now, if his contract ends and he re-signs with them and he know that they're not giving him the fighters that he want, then he's in the same boat as Bud. You re-sign with somebody that wasn't giving you the big fights, so why would you re-sign with him?
Yeah, and see, I have a lot of opinions on that one. I try not to get into the Bud and Spence, but it'd be hard out here not to talk about it. It'd be hard. You gonna stay on? Like, I can ask you, like, what you think about T.O. going up to 140 and possibly facing Pedraza or what's the other cat named Montana Love? What you think about that?
T.O., him facing Pedraza, he might can beat Pedraza, but I don't see him beating too many people at 140. I don't see him beating too many people at 140. Yeah. Not right now. Not right now.
Montana Love is but Montana Love.
You got Gary Antoine Russell. You got Gary Antoine Russell. You got Montana Love. You got Brian Norman Jr. You got you still got
Regis.
You got Regis Prograis. You still got Josh Taylor's is still there. You still got Ramirez still there. So it's a lot of bangers at 140. And what's you got that Puerto Rican that's at 140. I forgot his name.
Was it Moriel or no?
Yeah, start with an M. I can't think of his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, you got him. It's a lot of bangers at 140. So that's the same thing I was saying with Devin Haney. Devin Haney going up to 140, he's going to have to learn to sit down on some of his punches, because with you just boxing and stuff like that, if you're not hurting none of those bigger guys, because now you don't have the advantage at 140, because everybody is your height, everybody is your weight. At 135, you're a big 135, so you're bigger than most of the 135 fighters, and you're taller than most of the 135 fighters, and you have a longer arm reach. But when you go up to 140, now you're dealing with people that's on the same weight level as you. They the same size as you, if not bigger. They're the same height as you, if not taller, and they got the same arm reach as you. So, and they hit harder than you. So now you're dealing with people that hits hard, and they got the same height and the same weight as you, and they got roughly around the same arm length as you. So you're not going to have that advantage. You got to use your boxing ability, but that can only last for so long, because some of those fighters, they don't care about getting hit, and they would take a couple of punches to work on your body, especially if they know that you can't hurt them. If they know you can't hurt them, they're going to take a couple of punches and get in there and work on your body to slow you down. So now you are easy for the pickings towards the later rounds.
So like this something that you hear all the time with Devin Haney. You'll hear like he don't have his man strength, but there's no slow progression of power that I see either. What I love about him is, despite that, he doesn't try to do no cheating shit. I would never want him to do that, because he's an excellent boxer. But then I think about like what you just said about the power, that's applicable at the 135 as well. Somebody like a Gary Russell, if Devin and Gary were to fight, Gary Russell Jr., I got Gary all day. There was things that they pointed out.
Yeah, that's a 50-50 fight. Now, of course, I'm gonna go with Gary because that's my cousin. I'm gonna go with him, but that's a 50-50 fight, because they both box. Now, I believe Devin feet is a little bit better than Gary, because Gary sits down on a lot of his punches, but Gary can move, and it's not like Gary is going to stand there. Gary can move, but Gary his power is a little better than Devin Haney. And so with a person like Gary Russell or a person like Tank Davis, if he get in there with a Tank Davis or a Gary Russell, I mean, even T.O., but I think he'll beat T.O. because he's not going to stand in front of T.O. He can easily frustrate T.O. And we saw that with the Kambosos. As you hit him and move, he'd get frustrated and he'd just throw wild shots. But with like a Tank Davis, somebody that can box and they got power, he's not going to be able to do that with Tank Davis, because Tank Davis, after a while, when he know you can't hurt him, he just gonna walk straight through your punches. So just like he did with Leo Santa Cruz. Once he realized that Leo Santa Cruz couldn't hurt him, he just started walking straight to Leo Santa Cruz, and he took him out. Same thing he did with Barrios. When he found out that Barrios couldn't hurt him and couldn't really catch up to his speed, he started walking Barrios down, and he took him out of there. And so when you get up there with the fighters that can punch and you can't hurt them, now you're dealing with now we're gonna really see if you really can box, because now you're dealing with fighters that's not scared of your power, and they're not worried about getting hit.
So with Gary Russell, this is what I love about him. He have mastered, and I don't know if he's a fan of like Bruce Lee or karate and stuff like that. So they, anybody who take those type of classes or is engaged in karate, kung fu, whatever, there is something true, because I've taken karate when I was young and I competed formally, and I'm gonna tell you, it is true that you can cause just as much, if not more, damage from a short, stiff fucking hit. And Gary, to me, masters that. Like, Gary could be in the inside, and he don't have to reach back to Mississippi and damage you. He could do that. He could do them wide shots. He could do them in straight shots or them short shots. And see, this is something that that Devin, to me, not shown in his fights that he can do. He's very wide, and I think that Gary Russell Jr. pointed that out, or y'all brother Batman. And every time I see Haney fight, I see that, and I was like, wow, they told you, and you haven't fixed it.
Yeah, when you got to remember, Gary is only like 5'4", so he's not that tall, and he don't have real long arms. So his main thing was to be quicker than everybody else, and to use his hand speed, and then when he get on the inside, use his power. So he mastered on short punches, because once he was always smaller than everybody that he was fighting, so he had to get on the inside. And once he got on the inside, he mastered on those short punches. And when you master where the power comes from in your punch, then you can take people out. Like, they would say, oh, he's too small. But once he get on the inside, he already mastered how to bring that power from a short distance, that he don't have to use his whole arm length. He can just hit you with a short punch and still hit you with that power, because he mastered on where the power comes from. And like I said, the power comes from you sitting on your punch. It comes off your from your hip. It comes from your hip, and it works its way up. So you have to master on sitting on your punches. You don't have to sit on your punch to where you sit on your punch and then you just stuck there. No, you can master sitting on your punches and still be able to move out the way after you deliver that punch. And that's what Gary done. Gary can hit you with a power punch and still get out of the way before you can even react, because he's much quicker than you. He got fast feet, and his hands is fast. So all he had to do was master on the strength of where his punches was coming from. Once he got that down pat, it wasn't nothing that nobody could do for him. That's why that one fight that he had, the one loss he got, which was with Loma, he knocked Loma down. Even though they didn't count the knockdown, it was a clean shot. He hit Loma, and Loma went down. They said, oh, he tripped over his foot. No, the shot hit first, and then Loma tripped over the foot. It wasn't that Loma was moving out the way and he tripped over the foot and Gary caught him. No, Gary caught him first, and then he tripped over the foot. But he was already going down after Gary hit him. He was already going down, and Gary went to step in and hit him again, and that's how he tripped over the foot. So, I mean, that's why he wants that rematch with Loma. Loma won't give him that rematch. Loma never gives nobody a rematch if he feels that he got an easy win and he know that the fighter is better than that. He never gave that person a rematch.
He's selfish.
I mean,
and he needed to get the same treatment. That's why I wasn't mad that T.O. treated him. And I made a statement a little bit about T.O. I said a few minutes ago when I said, in my opinion, I wonder how other people think. So I'm going to ask you, in my opinion, in the 135 division, right or wrong, T.O. I think did the heavier lifting, like as far as fighting
Oh shit,
harder
I dropped off.
matches. And hello, you still here? Hello? Oh damn. Okay, when he come back, hopefully he can come back or whatever. But T.O., I was talking about how T.O. did the heavy lifting in the 135 division. He fought the harder opponents to me. To me, when I watch his fights, he seemed like he went through something more than the other ones did, because everybody's like avoiding each other, and you can't make this fight, you can't make that fight, and it's always seemed like they cherry picking it, this, that, and the other. I didn't have that when I was talking about T.O. Hey, you back? So did you hear the
Yeah,
question
yeah,
I
yeah.
was asking? So
No, I
do
didn't
you
hear you. I
think that
dropped
I had
off.
a okay. So what I was saying was, when T.O. was, on his way up to those belts, I thought he fought harder opponents. I thought he had a harder time with the matches. He, like, not that he didn't win them easily or win them, in a good fashion, but I think he fought harder opponents than any of the 135 division, because Tank been all over the place. 130, 135, 140. Tank ain't fought
Yeah.
all the 135s. Devin sat around and waited and waited and waited. I get it. You were avoided, Devin. I ain't knocking Devin, but he kept waiting, and there was other fighters, because I was even calling for Devin to face Isaac Cruz. We know punk ass Ryan Garcia, he's not even up for discussion. And who else was the top? Lomachenko, and T.O. beat him. So to me, I thought T.O. comported himself better in the 135 division than the rest of them. What do you think?
Well, far as Devin, when it came to Devin, like Devin when he first went pro, he went pro in Mexico because he went pro early. So I think I think in the United States you have to be, I think you have to be 18 or 21 to go
18.
pro. So
18. Yeah.
he went pro in Mexico. So the first few fights, I mean, probably I think the first like 10 or 15 fights he had was in Mexico. And he even said it. It took him a minute before he made any money from fighting. He was 19-0 before he got his first paycheck. All his money he was pretty much fighting for free, because he started his own promotion company. He said he didn't want to sign with nobody. He wanted to start his own promotion company. Now he signed with Eddie Hearn, but he signed with Eddie Hearn as a partner, not actually a contract under Eddie Hearn. And that was later on in his career. So that's why I said he didn't get his first paycheck until he was 19-0. And so when it came to fighting the big fighters, once he came to the 135, once they started noticing him in the 135 division, nobody wanted to fight him. He tried to get a fight with Richard Commey. Richard Commey didn't want to fight him. He decided to go a different route. He tried to get a fight with Fatuma. Well, Fatuma was his mandatory. He didn't want to. They didn't want to fight. He was the mandatory for Loma. Loma dropped the belt. He didn't want to fight. Then he tried to fight T.O. T.O. didn't want to fight. He tried to fight Ryan Garcia, which was his mandatory. He didn't want to fight. Now, as far as Isaac Cruz, he didn't fight Isaac Cruz because Isaac Cruz wasn't known, and he was already getting the backlash of everybody saying Devin Haney hasn't fought nobody. So he was going for the big names, and none of the big names wanted to fight him.
He froze
So
up, I guess. I guess he's saying
yeah,
okay.
that was the downpour on Devin Haney. It wasn't so much that he waited. He tried to get the fights with all of the big names. Everybody that was in the top 10 rankings in the division, he tried to fight them. Nobody wanted to fight him. So he had to resort to just getting the mandatories. Now, like I said, well, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, he wasn't a mandatory, but he also wasn't known like that. To be honest, Isaac Pitbull Cruz wasn't known until he fought Tank. Nobody really knew who Isaac Pitbull Cruz, unless you was a diehard boxer fan. Nobody really knew who he was. That's
I
what
can
I'm saying.
say I did.
Unless you a diehard boxer fan, nobody really knew who he was. It's the same thing like with Kambosa. Nobody knew who Kambosa was.
Yeah, we didn't know who he
unless
was.
you was a diehard boxer fan. And the reason I found out about Kambosa was because shout out to my man Connor Loco. He said something about Kambosos. So I went back and started watching his fights. And I was like, oh, I said, nah, he's gonna beat T.O. And I called it. I called it right on Ricky's show. I said, T.O. is gonna lose in a split decision to Kambosos. They was like, T.O. ain't gonna lose. T.O. gonna knock him out. I said, watch what I say. Kambosos is gonna win by a split decision. And that's exactly what happened. He won by a split decision. And the only reason why it was a split decision, I'm glad it was, because I won a rack of money off of that, was because T.O. dropped him in the 10th round. If T.O. wouldn't have dropped him in the 10th round, it would have been a unanimous decision.
But, you know what? But go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now I was gonna say with Tank, with Isaac, I was hollering about Isaac Cruz since August. And when Bill would come on the shows, I tried to get in and talk to him. I never could get in on the different shows that he was on. And shout out to Bill Haney and Devin Haney, because they actually betted on themselves. This is what we tell people when it's trying to be successful. Like, bet on yourself. It's gonna be rough at first, but weather the storm. And he's better for the decisions he made. Plus, he had great guidance in his father. And, he's just going to do well from here. But, I was trying to say, fight Cruz. He not going to tell you no. Everybody was telling Devin no. But he ain't going to tell you no, because he need an opportunity. And now, I understand what you said. Nobody knew who Cruz was to tank for him. But you see how easy that was? Yeah. Now, casuals know who Cruz is. You get the fight. You put on the fight. Y'all do the damn thing. And then, hopefully, you gain some fans, and that's exactly what happened to Cruz. All he needed was an opportunity.
That's true. But BF just did a comparison on his show earlier today. If you looked at the 135 weight division, everybody in that weight division, they only fought 2 of the top 10 fighters, except for Tank. Tank only fought 1. Loma fought 2, which was T.O. and Richard Comey. T.O. fought 2, which was Richard Comey and Loma. Devin fought 2, which was Jojo and Linares. And Tank fought 1, which was Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And Jojo fought 1 because he just moved up, which was Devin Haney. And Kambosos only fought 1, which was T.O. So nobody really blew away with the 135 out of as far as the top 10 ranking. Now, you could say T.O. might have had a harder way to the championship. I don't really think so, because, looking back now, you could say that. But before, nobody knew who Nakatami was. Everybody knew who Richard Comey was, but nobody knew who Nakatami was until after that T.O. fight. After that T.O. fight, then people started paying attention to Nakatami.
Yeah, but T.O. was fighting people. I can't even think of that now. I could see their face, but they were not easy opponents, and nobody was fighting them, but T.O. was fighting them. As far as Devin Haney, you right. That's how you said how his beginning careers were. It was. I totally am on board with the way they shafted this man. I don't like it. I don't get down with it. I think it's highly unfair.
Right. Devin Haney is going through the same thing that Gary Russell was going through, because Gary Russell, he's been the WBC champion for 6 years now. He has yet to have a unification fight. None of the champions at 126 want to fight him. So I'm like, this man been holding the WBC belt for 6 years, and none of the champions want to fight him. He hasn't had no champions fight him. He has had none of the big names fight him. Even when Shakur Stevenson was down there, Shakur Stevenson never called out Gary Russell, and Gary Russell was the WBC champion. Shakur Stevenson never called him out. He's been chasing Oscar Valdez. He's never said nothing about Gary Russell. And Gary Russell said, "I will fight that little boy." He said he's a young. He said, "I seen him fight before. I'll fight him." But I'm just saying, Gary Russell never had none of the big fighters at his weight division call him out. The only big name that called him out was Devin Haney, and Devin Haney's at 135, so he would have to move up 2 weight classes to fight Devin Haney.
I sure had
So
wished that fight went down. I think Gary should move out now. If Coach G was here, he would tell you it's hard. He said as much as he like Gary Russell Jr., it's hard to rep him because he ain't fighting, and we know that he's being avoided. Same thing about Devin, but there sometimes you got to make a star out of other people. Like whoever would have took the opportunity to fight Isaac Cruz, you would have made a star out of him. If you a star, if you're the top, you'd have made a star out of him.
But the thing with Gary Russell is he's being avoided, but also Al Haymon, he was in the doghouse with Al Haymon and Floyd Mayweather because he didn't move the way they wanted him to move. Gary Russell is a man. Gary Russell, like, I'm 32 years old. I'm gonna move the way I want to move. Y'all not gonna tell me how to move, how to run my career. This is my career. I'm gonna run my career the way I want to run my career. So they wasn't giving him fights. So the only thing he got going to keep him fighting is that WBC belt. The only way he could fight is he fight a mandatory. So if he doesn't have that WBC belt, he ain't getting no fights. They don't want to fight him with the WBC belt. They definitely not gonna want to fight him without the belt.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm glad that you. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the only way I see him moving up is if he move up to 130 and fight the WBC champion at 130. That way, if he win that fight, he have the WBC belt again, so he will still continue to be fighting.
The only danger with that is with the belt he has leverage to call something. Without any belt, you think they freezing him now? But he has to think about that. I personally feel like he should move to 130, 135, whatever his heart desire, and just go clean it out. Once Kambosos won over T.O., what my first mind was? Motherfuckers can beat Gary Russell Jr. in the 135 division. That's just my opinion. Yeah, until somebody show me different. That's my opinion. I can tell you how he'll beat Haney, how he'll beat Loma, how he'll beat Tank. I can just see it in my head what he would do to win those fights.
You talking about T.O.?
Now I'm talking about Gary Russell Jr. If he moved up to 135, Gary how he could beat all of them.
Yeah, Gary Russell, I say he'll beat just about all of them. The only ones I see giving Gary Russell some problem will be Devin and Tank. Those are the only ones. The rest of them, I see him beating the rest of those 135 pounders. The only one I see giving him some problem is Devin or Tank. Devin because of his boxing ability, Tank because of his power. That's the only thing.
Tank, Gary got boxing ability and power. And he'll nullify
and what I was about to say, if you went to my channel, you saw the when I had talked about the rumor of Gary Russell and Tank Davis fighting, I had compared them, and I said they both fight a similar style. They don't do a whole lot of moving around the ring, and they fight with, they got fast hands. Gary hands is much faster, but they got fast hands. But Tank has more power than Gary. They both got power, but Tank has more power. Gary has faster hands. So they fight a similar style. So that's why I say it's a 50-50 fight, because if Tank hit Gary, he can possibly get Gary out of there. But if Tank can't hit Gary, Gary can possibly outwork Tank because of his faster hands. So that's why I say it's a 50-50 fight as far as with Devin Haney, because Devin Haney, he hits and moves. Now, if Devin Haney fight Gary like he fought JoJo and like he fought Linares, Devin Haney's going to lose because his hands is not
going to sleep. He going to sleep.
And if Gary hit Tank, Gary will hurt Tank, and he's going to jump on Tank. Tank ain't going to be able to get away because Gary is smaller, so he's not going to be that easy to grab and hold because he's smaller. He's going to be able to move out the way and catch you with some more punches, then move again, catch you with some more punches. So when Linares caught him, Linares smothered his punches because Linares and Devin Haney are roughly about the same size. So when he moved in to try to take Devin out, Devin was able to grab him. With Gary Russell, Devin won't be able to grab Gary Russell like that. Now, he'll be able to hold him for a little while, but he's not going to be able to continue to hold him for the rest of the fight. And that's the difference with Devin Haney and Gary Russell.
And now the one thing about Gary Russell is that he doesn't let you walk him down. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say the same thing. I agree with you. I believe that Gary, he has all the tools to beat everybody at 135. Now, it's just like I said, with Tank and Devin, those are 50-50 fights. Towards Devin, I would lean more towards Gary. When it comes to Tank, I would lean a little bit more towards Tank because of Tank power. But but Gary has the tool to beat both of them. He can beat both of them on any given night. But like I said,
you know what's his advantage too? His speed kills and his experience. Yeah. This is why Tank ain't got a chance. And also
that's why I said. That's why I said that Gary has the tools to beat everybody at 135. I just said with Devin, because of Devin height and his boxing ability, he would give Gary a little bit of trouble. But with Gary body work, I think he would slow Devin down in the later rounds, and he'll end up outworking Devin in the later round. And he possibly will catch Devin and either drop Devin or hurt him bad to where the scorecards will switch in his favor. With Tank, I think he will outwork Tank, but Tank has that equalizer. If he happens to catch Gary, he can possibly put Gary down. That's the only thing I say about Tank. That's why I say Gary can beat him, but I lean a little bit towards Tank because of his power. So if I have to put it on a scale, I would say Tank might be at like 51 and Gary is at 49. When it comes to Devin and Gary, it's more so 50-50. And the only reason I say that for Tank is because of his power. That's the only reason. If Tank didn't have the power that he has, I would say it's more of a 50-50 fight, and I would lean more towards Gary because he's a veteran and his ring IQ is better. And that's another thing. Gary Russell's ring IQ is much better than Devin Haney's ring IQ. His ring IQ is much better than Devin Haney's. Now, as far as Tank,
he's an OG fighting these young fellas.
Tank ring IQ is like on the same level as Gary Russell. Tank is not going to put himself in a bad predicament. Now, Devin, he would to try to prove a point to the fans. Gary not going to do that. Gary going to do what he knows is going to win the fight. And that's all he's going to do. Same thing with Tank. He's going to do what he knows is going to win the fight. He don't care about what the fans think. And we saw that with Isaac Pitbull Cruz. He couldn't get him out of there because he hurt his hand, so he boxed him for the rest of the fight. And he clearly beat him that fight. Now, everybody said, oh, Isaac Pitbull Cruz won the fight. Why? Because he lasted 12 rounds. Y'all used to saying Tank taking people out. That doesn't mean he won the fight. It just means Tank couldn't get him out of there, but he still beat him. He beat him, I say, 9 out of the 12 rounds. Tank beat Isaac Pitbull Cruz. I gave Isaac maybe 3 rounds.
See, I disagree. I think it was 7-5 at best. I think it could have been a draw. And they both gave as much as they took. I do say that Tank edged them. But even Tank didn't know it was a foregone conclusion. If you watch how he responded when they was about to call out the winner. So, I mean, it's controversy either way. And so when Leo Santa Cruz recently have come out and said that they should run it back, I have to agree because you will see it that way. I'm seeing it the way I see it. You'll have people that see Tank clearly won hands down, and you'll have people that think that Cruz won hands down. So it's controversy. No, they should run it back.
No, I'm gonna say the reason why Tank reacted the way he reacted. You got to remember, Tank hasn't went the distance with nobody in 22 fights.
Yeah.
He had 25, he had 26 fights with 25 knockouts.
He had one of the best knockout ratios.
Yeah. He hasn't went the distance. He hasn't went the distance with nobody in like 24, 25 fights. So when he went the distance, he didn't know how they was going to react. So how they was going to judge it because he went the distance. He know that he always knocking people out. So he didn't know how they was going to judge it. Once they judged it in his favor, he was excited because he hasn't went the distance in forever. Like I said, the last time he went the distance, I think was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
I can't even remember the
still,
last
I
time.
mean, I wasn't one of those people who said just because they do that with Mayweather, right? Maidana gave a good performance, and all of a sudden, Maidana won. I was like, bullshit, because still, same thing. I was like, bullshit. But if there's controversy, run it back. If somebody's seeing it, everybody came on, right?
No, I said I've been said they should run it back. A lot of people are saying Tank should run it back with Isaac Pitbull Cruz. But I will say this: if Tank run it back, Tank was going to get him out of there. He's going to do the same thing that Floyd Mayweather did to Maidana on the second fight.
I do believe that they run it back.
Tank is going to get him out of there because the thing with Tank was Isaac Pitbull Cruz was smaller than him. Tank is not used to fighting nobody smaller than him. So he said it was kind of hard to hit Isaac Pitbull Cruz with a flush shot because he was smaller. Now that he fought him and he run it back, I think he'll get him out of there.
Okay. Brown on Boxing is in the building. Salute, King. He says salute.
What's going on, Brown on Boxing?
So this is the last piece I'm gonna talk about because I know we got other shows I gotta go look at and check out. And I'm gonna make sure I subscribe to you too. I think I did from when you was on Southern T. Because you was a panel right before. I think I did. I want to double check after this. But so we gotta talk about the proverbial Ugas Spence. So we know it's going down in April. So I don't know who Bud is gonna fight in the meantime and in between time, and I don't care because I've always said when you have the opportunity for greatness right there, you shouldn't give a damn about nothing around you. I've said for a minute that Ugas, Errol, and Bud, even before Ugas, when Ugas was still obligated to fight in that box off, I said it then that they should not worry about nothing and nobody else but them three. Now, I wrote some notes because I didn't want to be all around the world with it. But so I think Bud should wait for the winner. And when Bud had his fights, no one said, Earl, who you gonna fight next? Who you gonna fight? I don't remember talk like that. Like, I'm gonna tell you, I like them both. I genuinely like them both. I favor Bud more. But Spence fans make it hard for me to even just like Spence and just leave it at that. From some of the things that they said, now Earl's fans are saying, "Oh, who Bud gonna fight?" But guess what? Bud just had a fight. It ain't even been 2 months. It ain't even. I don't even know if it's at 6 weeks now. It's been about a month. The 20th of December made it a month. So what are we, like 6 weeks from his last fight? And everybody's pressed to say what fight he's gonna fight. Spence fans can't call shit for Bud. I have to say that we can't be like acting like they're the one that get they the ones who hate him. And so therefore, why do they get to decide or even put out like what he should do and what he shouldn't do? And that's the things that I don't get. If you don't like Bud and you know who you are, stop worrying about what he gonna do and this, that, and the other. This is why I can't get into the business talk because a lot of them do good business decisions. Some of them you don't know until years after the fact. Like look at PBC now. PBC ain't looking like a good business decision for a lot of fighters now. Am I lying? I mean, did we not? Are we not saying that the PBC got financial issues? Are we not hearing that the PBC ain't paying their fighters when the deed is done? If they owe Floyd money, what did AB say about it? So what Bud did is looking pretty good right now because he got his money guaranteed when he was done. Sorry, Eddie Hearn. I picked him as promoter of the year. Why? Because he pays his fighters and nobody's ever mad. Kyle in the boxing section. What's up, pimping? He said, where's my wrench? Kyle, I just asked about that. How do I give people wrenches?
Okay, what you do is right beside their name, you'll see 3 little dots. Click on that dot and you'll see it say add monitoring.
Mine just said put user in timeout and block user. I don't know why. And that's what it said on everybody. Like if I go up to, let me go up to Brown, say the same thing. It don't like I think I remember that it said it in the beginning. Maybe I got to refresh my page. I don't want to
Yeah,
do it
because
right now
I know
because
when I go on mine, when I click on it, right beside their
mhm,
name, it has three little dots. If I click on that,
right.
it'll say add monitor. And
Yeah.
or they could just email you and then you can add them through the email.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna work on them. Kyle, I
It
got
might
you.
it
You
might
get a
it,
wrench.
it might be
Dwayne, you get
because
a wrench.
you're on StreamYard too. If you just go straight to the regular YouTube page, you might be able to do it from
Mm-hmm.
there. But if you're on
Oh, I haven't.
StreamYard, it might not allow you to do it from StreamYard. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it allows you to do it from StreamYard or not. But I know
When
on the
I
regular
first
YouTube page.
when I first got on here in StreamYard, I did see it say that because I was just clicking things just to click. But um, I haven't been back on the regular YouTube, thing in a while. It's still there, I'm sure. But I haven't,
Yeah.
like going to my studio
You
you
might be
talking
able to
about
do it like
and do it that way.
if you go back and watch the show later, like after it goes
Yeah.
through the loading stage and it's been
Yeah.
approved. If you go back and watch it later and put the comments, have the live comments showing, you might be able to
Yeah.
do it that way. Because I did it like that when I first started my channel, and
Okay.
Ricky had came on there, and there was a couple of other people, and I was able to add them after I did my show.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna actually try that. I got y'all. I was thinking about that lately. But I'm gonna figure it out. Tech, this computer stuff, it don't come that easy to me, but I'll be learning. But I got you, Kyle. So what I was going back to with the Spence thing, everybody was, they talk about, a lot of people have animosity towards Bud for for picking his business decision. I don't get that shit. I don't get that because now can we be mad at PBC fighters? Can we be mad at them? Honestly, can we say that they stupid? I don't want
No,
to, but
because
I mean,
PBC, if far as
mhm,
PBC is not their promotion company. That's their advisor, and so each fighter is pretty much their own promoter. They use a Tom Brown as the promotion company for the fights or whatever, unless you
mhm,
have your actual own promotion company. They use Tom Brown. So PBC doesn't have is not an actual promoter. That's just their advisor. So everybody on PBC, like your guaranteed purse, it depends on whatever you sign with PBC. Like Earl Spence guaranteed purse for certain fights was like $1 million, but he got all his money on the back end, as far as the pay per view and everything. So it's different. Like with a regular promotion company, when you sign with them, they might say, okay, this is what you're going to get for your fights. Like with Earl, I mean, with Bud, when Bud signed with Bob Heyman, his guaranteed purse was always 3.5 or four.
mhm.
One, it was one of the two, either 4 or 3.5. That was his guaranteed purse. He never got anything on the back end because he didn't do pay-per-views. And the ones that he did do, I guess he got a little bit of money on the back end or whatever. I'm not sure. But he never really
Mhm.
got money on the back end because he didn't do pay-per-views. And that's the thing with PBC. Most of their fights are on pay-per-view, so they get majority of their money on the back end.
As Fred explained, though, when you start doing all PBC pay per view fighters, fights, then that sound like money problems or trouble in paradise. As we know, AB is saying that he gets ration out money, and we know that Floyd is, getting all his money because he be tied up in investment, and Al Heyman runs a hedge fund, which that's like almost a true definition of investing money. So, are we going to find out later? That all these people who fought for PBC, did they get all the money owed to them? Yeah, never mind that they got that guarantee. If Earl gets a guarantee of 1 million, but he's owed 15 and he don't get it, like, do
Who
we now
I
start
didn't
saying the people? I'm not saying he did it, but I'm just giving an
I heard something
example.
about it, but I didn't see who was the fighter that said they didn't get their guards. They didn't get their money.
Well, we know that Floyd money is tied up. We know AB said it too. AB said that they rationing out his money. He's running it like a hedge fund and all. But see, I try not to get into those talks because that's something that they doing. And I try not to say that somebody is stupid for picking a business choice. But when it comes out that all these PBC fighters are owed a lot of money, do we then get to call them stupid for signing with the PBC? That's what I want to know.
Oh, I like I said, I wouldn't call it stupid for signing with the PBC. I would say it's stupid for not paying attention to your contract because they might say they might thinking they're going to get a certain amount, but your contract is only saying you getting this amount. So I would say pay attention to what your contracts are. Now, if your contract say you're supposed to get a certain amount and you don't get it, then why you're not suing PBC? Why you just saying something about it?
I mean, but this why me personally, I would never say nothing because you signed something you thought you was gonna get. You know how business is. Anything can happen. People could be swindling. People could be charlatans up in there and grifters and shit.
But that's
you
what I'm
just
saying.
never know. You hope everything work out. But this is what they quick to say about Bud. And this is the shit that I'm tired of hearing. So I say if the PBC is losing money, is Errol Spence and all of them, are they dumb for signing with PBC? Just like Bud is dumb for signing with Bob Arum.
No, just like me and Ricky both said, we said Bud wasn't dumb for the second contract he got with Top Rank because he was getting $1 million just to turn down the fights. He was guaranteed 3.5, and then for every big fight that he didn't get, he was getting $1 million. In order for him to get those big fights, he had to sign off for those big fights. So when he didn't sign off on that Manny Pacquiao fight, that Manny signed off on, he got an extra $1 million. Even though he didn't fight Manny Pacquiao, he got $1 million.
But he was getting $1 million if he didn't get the fight that he wanted. I don't think he could have got it by him not getting the fight.
He was getting $1 million if he didn't get the big fight. So if it's say Bob say, okay, I'm gonna give you the Keith Thurman fight, and Bud said no, he got $1 million for that. If he was supposed to get the Earl fight, and Bud say no, he got $1 million for that. If he was supposed to get the Manny Pacquiao fight, and Bud say no, he got $1 million for that. It's for every big fight that he didn't get, he got $1 million. So say like the fights that he fought Kell Brook, that wasn't a big fight, but he was supposed to fight. Say he was supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao, but they end up giving him Kell Brook. He got an extra $1 million on top of that fight.
Yeah, and he was getting a lot. He was getting that a lot. Sheldon, what you think about this? What's up, Sheldon? Sheldon in the building.
Hey, Bobby King. What's going on? That Dwayne Freeman right there?
Yeah, that's the king.
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
All right.
What y'all talking about?
So we was talking about the Ugas Spence fights and how it's going down in April, and that it's like I kind of like almost reached my breaking point. Once I get it off my chest, I'll probably be all right and go back into hiding and just don't say much. But what happened to him? Oh, Dwayne, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he come back. But I was saying, I'm about tired of this. Like, Bud been out since his last match, November 20th. But now everybody's like, well, Earl got a fight, so Bud need to get a fight. Earl, Bud don't need to do shit. But in my opinion, and I say this for Earl, I say this for Ugas, I'd say them three need to only worry about those three because they in that zone. You have the potential for greatness. But now that we're hearing all this stuff about the PBC and the lack of money they got going on over there, and some people not getting their full paycheck, are they all dumb? Like Earl, a lot of Earl's fans say how dumb Bud was for signing up for Top Rank. Is now Errol Spence and all the other PBC fighters, are they dumb for making the business choices they made? I would say not, but I have to ask that question because you know what it was for Bud. So Sheldon, what you say?
Well, I don't understand how anybody can say somebody's dumb for getting the base of 4 million, 4.5, right? The highest guarantee in the welterweight division. And for every fight that is not Errol Spence, like Dwayne Freeman said, you get an extra $1 million. So I don't see how that's dumb. I don't know how you call that dumb. That's securing the bag for your family, in my opinion. Now, comes to the PBC, Dwayne Freeman hit it right on the head. I ain't gonna say you dumb for signing with them because that's who you want to sign with, but you should read your contract or have somebody who's knowledgeable in contracts to help you. Because if you're missing money or you're not getting certain dollars, it's because you didn't read your contract. I got a call. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying. When it comes to PBC, like everybody signing the contracts to get with PBC or whatever, but you sign a contract to a certain amount. Everybody, when you sign a contract to a promotion company, you sign your contract to a certain amount. This is what I'm gonna get per fight. If I do more, then I get a certain percentage on however more we do or whatever. So, when you sign that contract to PBC, you have to know what you're signing for. Now, that's what I was saying. If they sign a contract saying they're supposed to get $4 million or $5 million for this fight, and they didn't get that $5 million, then where's the lawsuit for PBC? Because it was not doing nothing for you coming out saying, oh, they didn't give me all my money. Where's the proof they didn't give you all your money? You're not doing a lawsuit, because if I sign a contract with somebody and you're supposed to pay me a certain amount and I finish the job and you don't give me all my money, I'm going to court and you're going to give me my money.
But is any of the PBC fighters doing that? And if it comes out, I ain't saying I know that this is the case.
If they do that, then they got a leg to stand on. But right now, I just hear people, a couple of people said that I think I heard Logan Paul said that Floyd didn't give him all his money, and somebody else said it. You said AB said it, but like I said, if they didn't give you all the money and you signed a contract for a certain amount, where's the lawsuit? You're not showing no paperwork that you're taking them to court.
If we years out and you ain't get paid 2-3 years ago, like everything that you're supposed to get, I don't care if it was short 5,000. Why is you fighting again? Like this, isn't that what they saying about Bud? Why did you sign with him?
And that's why I think it's more so like AB is on the outside looking in. I think he just want to put a bad name on PBC because they not messing with him right now. And so he want to put a bad name on PBC. So I mean that's for any fighter. If they owe you some money, you supposed to be getting your money before you. I mean, even if you fight another fight,
before you go to another fight, right?
I mean, even if you fight another fight, prior to me fighting that other fight, there will be court papers put in for me to get my money.
Right.
So if you're not giving me my money, we'll be going to court, and you're going to give me my money, and then you're going to pay me for my next fight that I got coming up too.
So we see that a lot of them, as fighters, Bud included, make bad, choices. We could say from the sideline looking in. We don't know all the facts. We could be like, I know for Bud's situation, the way Bob Arum carried him, I would say, well, I wouldn't be in favor of him signing with Bob, but apparently he know what he's doing because he got his money, and that's one thing you can say. And when I look at Eddie Hearn and the fighters that fight under him, they got their money. We could say like Andre, we don't see him much, or we seen a couple of fights of his. He gets avoided too, but guess what? He's a millionaire fighting over there with Eddie and all that. He's a millionaire. Tevin Farmer made his money with Eddie Hearn. These people, with the rumor mill is coming out saying now with PBC, they might have some financial problems. I don't wish that on them. I hope that they can rectify it or whatever. But if they don't, I mean, some of the telltale signs are there. So if they got financial problems and some of their fighters, it ain't gonna be like everybody else is catching it except Errol. He's gonna be catching it too. So what's the difference?
I I don't see PBC having no financial problems, because if they had financial problems, then these fights that they got putting on, they wouldn't be putting on these fights. I like I said, I just see people might be on the back burner, and they just want to talk bad about PBC, because like I said, if you sign a contract to get a certain amount and they didn't give you your money, you're supposed to be suing to get your money. Far as Bud, I didn't say it was a bad business move for Bud, because like he said, Bud was getting $4 million per fight plus an extra million every time it wasn't Errol Spence. I said you can't use Bob as an excuse for you not getting the big fights when you re-signed with Bob. That was the only thing that a lot of the people that I know that talked about Bud and his bad decision with Bob Arum, because you saying, oh, Bob is not giving me the big fights, but you turn around and re-sign with him. So why would you re-sign with somebody that's not giving you the big fights?
The same thing with Tank.
Spence ain't complaining about he not getting a bad fight. I mean, he not getting the big fights.
He not.
Of course he's not.
But,
he's behind some promotion that has all the welterweights. Of course he's not complaining.
Spence ain't complaining about anything.
Of course he's not. That's a no-brainer. He's fine over there where all the welterweights are. My whole problem with that school of thought is this: if I'm a champion, why these other dudes who ain't champions don't want to come over here and try to take this strap? It's not like you over there at PBC making tons of money, because you're not. We just got reports this weekend that they offered Danny Garcia $3 million. Now, he wasn't getting but two at PBC. They offered him $3 million to go over there and fight Bud. He turned it down.
Well, Danny Garcia, the reason why Danny Garcia said he turned it down is because he got $3 million to fight a no-name.
No, so he's talking about him getting offered. He's talking about the offering he got to go fight Bud, and he turned it down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The reason why he turned it down is because Danny Garcia got, in his last fight, he got $3 million to fight a no-name. So he's like, I got $3 million to fight.
Who you talking about for Granados?
Yeah, he got $3 million for that fight. Okay. So he's like, if I got $3 million for him, why am I taking $3 million to fight Bud? I should be getting more to fight Bud.
Now see how you say that? Now you see how you say that? Now this is this what I'm gonna say.
You gotta
they say the same thing.
But you also gotta think though, they paid Amir Khan $7 million to fight Bud. Danny Garcia knocked Amir Khan out. So you're gonna give him $7 million, but you're only gonna offer me $3 million, and I beat that person.
But see, that's the same thing.
But you don't have a belt.
To me, it's all the same.
You're not relevant anymore, Danny. You
haven't have no belt neither.
You have not won a fight at the welterweight division, so you're not relevant.
Yes, he has.
Who he beat? Robert DeGuerrero?
He had a belt at welterweight.
Brandon Rios.
He had a belt at welterweight.
He beat Robert Guerrero for a vacant belt.
Boy, Mayweather beat Guerrero
12 years
ago. Who he beat? He beat him for a belt.
Man, you know that dude ain't relevant. You can't pump up.
You also got to remember, but Amir Khan didn't have a belt neither, though.
Amir Khan has a fan base.
And then his fan base wasn't too big because he only did 120,000. So it wasn't too big.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, even with all that being said, when it comes to I try to stay out of Errol Spence and Bud's situation, right? Because I don't see the fairness on both sides. I see it as one-sided. Everybody is so sure that Errol can beat him, and Bud fans sure that Bud can beat him. But in the end, we all agree that it's a great fight. But then he say, then we get into the money. Like, Bud can't bet on himself. We just went through what Devin Haney did for himself. We go through what Errol did it for himself, and he did a great job. But Bud can't bet on himself, and it's like, just take it. If you beat Errol, then you the man. But we could say the same thing on the other side.
That's the problem with a lot of people going with the notion that Errol offered 60-40. Errol never offered 60-40. He did an interview and he said, I feel it should be 60-40 in my favor, but I'm going to let Al Heyman do my negotiation. Whatever Al Heyman feel I should get, that's what I would get. Earl never said it's going to be 60-40. He just said, I feel it should be 60-40.
You're absolutely right, because he can't say that because he doesn't write contracts. He's a fighter.
He doesn't what?
But guess what? His fans are saying that.
He's a fighter.
His fans,
he doesn't write contracts.
His fans are taking it and pushing that narrative. And it's hard. I know for me as a fan, it's hard for me to deal with, because I'm like, who cares? Go behind closed doors like y'all used to and hash that shit out. You know what I'm saying? Or this notion like his fans be saying, oh, who Bud should fight or what he should do. I'm with Destiny Black. Bud ain't got to do nothing. Why do he have to do something? He just came out of a fight.
Here's the thing.
Everybody set the marker that Sean Porter was the bee's knees. And then when he beat him, it's like it didn't matter no more.
His daddy stopped the fight. Sean didn't lose the fight. His daddy lost the fight. All that garbage. Look, here's the bottom line, Miss T. Here's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. We over here chopping it up, just giving opinions. This is an opinion-based show. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
None of us are in PBC's offices, in Top Rank offices, over at MTG Global with Daniel Kinahan. We don't know nothing. Them are the people that's going to work that shit out. They know what it's going to take to make this fight. We just guessing and talking and hyperbole and speculating. That's all we doing, because we have no idea what they're going to work out.
And innuendos and all that stuff.
I mean, we can have our opinions because this is an opinion-based show. But when you try to state it like it's a fact, you're tripping because you don't know what them people are doing. I mean, I'll be honest. I ain't talked to Al Heyman. I ain't talked to Bomac. I ain't talked to Bob. I ain't talked to nobody. I ain't talked to Daniel Kinahan. I don't know what they got up their sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
But they gonna work.
And I respect all opinions. Because it just gives me something to think about.
What I will ask, if Bud does decide to fight, who y'all think he should fight?
Oh, it's
whoever
for me. It's a no-brainer. For me, it's a no-brainer. He should fight Taylor in Scotland. That's the biggest bag out there.
Who?
Taylor in Scotland. That's the biggest bag out there.
I don't want him leaving the country.
How is that the biggest bag out there?
It's bigger than Boots. It's bigger than Virgil. That's a bigger bag than both of them fight.
How you figure it's bigger than Boots?
Because you're gonna go to Scotland, you're gonna put 60 to 70,000 in a soccer stadium. It's gonna be on pay-per-view. It's gonna be a bigger bag. Boots don't have a fan base like that. Boots got a hell of a fan base on YouTube.
Hold on. Who's to say it's gonna be on pay-per-view? We dealing with Top Rank. Top Rank don't.
That's gonna be on pay-per-view. Josh Taylor versus Bud Crawford in Scotland is gonna be on pay-per-view.
Was Josh Taylor
and Ramirez on pay-per-view for Undisputed?
Josh Taylor Ramirez was in the pandemic with 1,400 people in the audience.
It doesn't matter. No, was it on pay-per-view?
There wasn't no fight on pay-per-view in the pandemic. What fight was on pay-per-view?
Yes, it was.
Who?
Yes, it was.
Who?
Yes, it was.
Who?
Earl Smith fight during the pandemic.
That wasn't in the pandemic, brother. That was in December. That was not in the pandemic.
That was 2020.
Happened in February.
That was 2020.
Pandemic didn't happen until February, brother.
We're still in the
pandemic.
pandemic.
Was not in the pandemic.
The pandemic started in February.
2020.
Pandemic started in February, and we're still in the pandemic.
I mean, but
no, as far as lockdown,
pandemic where the lockdown,
it started in February 2021.
I forgot the exact month that
February
it ended.
2021.
But then
2020, not 2021, 2020.
There was no lockdown in 20. Yeah, it was. Right. You're right. It was. There was only limited seating for that fight. You're right. The Danny fight.
And it was on pay-per-view.
Yeah. It was on pay-per-view.
That's what I'm saying. There's been fights on pay-per-view during the pandemic. There's been quite a few fights on the pay-per-view during the pandemic.
Far and in between.
I'm just saying.
But the thing is, like, for me, I think that Bud, Errol, and Ugas need to focus on each other. Now, I was never mad that Errol got the fight with Ugas, right? I just didn't like how the narrative played out. Now, I know that a lot of people could call somebody a duck. I don't call people duck that easily. However, I'm not mad at other people who see it very easily when somebody's ducking. But I thought after the Sean Porter fight, because I said nothing, Shelton, you know that. I hardly said anything because I was like, they was making him the mark. And Bud not only met that benchmark, but he surpassed it. He surpassed
He was
it.
the standard.
So after
Sean Porter was the golden grail. Yes.
Yeah, excuse me. But once he passed it, in my head, I just knew that it was gonna be Earl and Bud next. And anything outside of that, I was not entertaining. I was like, I didn't even want to hear it. Because it don't matter if Earl picks up the belt from Bud or he picks up the belt from Ugas. It really don't matter. But I just knew that them two was next.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe, did you ever believe, Dwayne, you too, did you ever believe that coming off a 15, 16-month layoff, they was going to put Errol Spence right in the ring with Bud Crawford?
Yes,
I believe that Earl
Garcia
said he wanted to. That's it.
I
didn't know how it would work out. I just knew that Earl said he don't want no tune up. So I just had to go by what he said.
Do you think that would be a smart decision?
I wouldn't think so. I don't think it's smart to fight before August for Earl.
I'm gonna tell you why I say yes. Because you got to remember, Earl came off a much worse injury when he came back from a car accident and he fought Danny Garcia, which was his mandatory. And so when he came after the Danny Garcia, he was working out to get ready for the Manny Pacquiao fight, and then he had the torn eye retina. Now, when he came back, he said he didn't want to fight. No mandatory. He wanted to fight either Ugas or Terrence Crawford. So I believe that they was trying to get him one of those two fights. It just so happened that it was Ugas because they had already agreed to that fight when Ugas had beat Manny Pacquiao. And then the WBA put him in a tournament. And like I said before, the reason why Errol Spence was quiet because he was already working behind the scenes to get the Ugas fight because they had already.
But he didn't have to work. I know he froze up. He didn't have to work that hard to get the Bud fight. He could have just been working on that. Just like when they said, why did Bud go for Jeff Horn? Well, he should have easily just picked Errol Spence because Earl had a belt. Same thing. So people could. This is what I mean by you can say the same thing on each side. I don't know who makes one side more relevant or more legit than the other side. I mean, they call Bud everything but a child of God. Oh yeah.
You can spin the narrative any way you want. Any way you want to spin it, you can spin it and make it sound good. You know what I'm saying?
Did y'all hear what I said? Because I had got cut off.
Yeah, we heard you.
No, you didn't finish. We didn't hear.
Oh, you didn't finish.
What I was saying was, he had came back. He had came back from the torn eye retina, and they had him and Ugas had already agreed to fight once he had beat Manny Pacquiao, and so Earl was quiet behind the scenes because he was working on getting that Ugas fight because they had already agreed on it. And I had said it a couple of months ago. I said the last time Earl was this quiet, he popped up with the Manny Pacquiao fight. So I said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I just know that the last time Earl was quiet like this, he popped up with a big fight. I said, so they could be working out something with Terrence Crawford or they could be working out something with Ugas. I said, we don't know what's going on. It just so happened they came out with the Ugas fight. So I don't see an issue with him fighting coming off the tour eye retina because it's not like it's the first time it ever happened. Sugar Ray Leonard did it before he fought Marvelous Hagler. He came off a tour
2 years after the fact.
It doesn't matter if it's 2 years. It doesn't matter if it's 2 years. It doesn't matter if you have to understand. You have to understand. It doesn't matter if it's 2 years because a torn eye retina, once your eye heals, if it's going to be any problems, you will have the problems once you step into the sunlight. So if there's no problems once he stepped into the sunlight and he's been sparring, he got videos where he sparred on Christmas. So he's been sparring. So it's not like it's an issue. So if your eye is one of the fastest part of your body that heals. So once he had the surgery done, he knew and the doctors knew that he was good because we just had what's the guy in 135 or 130? What's his name? the one that was supposed to
Anthony
fight
Mares?
Tank. And yeah, he had the same thing. And you see what happened. He couldn't fight no more. His eye is not the same. He can't fight.
Have y'all
anymore.
seen his eye lately? It's better.
Yes.
Yeah, I
It
saw him in
doesn't
Atlanta.
wander
His eyes
anymore.
are straight now.
So
They straight.
he needed time to heal. This is what I mean
Yeah.
by it
No,
takes
it's
longer
not
to
that he
heal.
needs time to
I
heal.
get what y'all saying.
He told me in Atlanta that he's coming back. So
Yeah, it just
He
takes
told me that
longer. When I
face-to-face.
say it's longer to heal, not the initial healing, but to cement that shit. Because once you tear, people will say, "Oh, he had a detached retina, not a torn." Well, in order for it to detach, it had to tear. Once you open that door is open. You have to give it time to cemently, like really, really, really heal. That's what I mean by it takes longer, a neck and above. Not necessarily mean the
But I mean,
fast part of just healing up.
But you figure from August until April when they fight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
still.
almost a year.
I say take a year. Yeah, I say take a year because his eye injury came in the summer, right before the Pacquiao fight.
I don't think it's going to be an issue.
I hope it's not
like
an
I said,
issue. To be honest,
we'll
I hope it's
find
not
out
an
think
issue.
it's going to be an issue.
We'll find out in April if he gets cleared to fight.
Huh?
Mhm.
We'll
And-
find
and-
out
and
in
Pete
April
is-
if
and
he's
Pete
cleared.
is-
Because he got to go through the
And Pete
medical
is
exam
Dwayne.
before he is cleared to fight.
Trust and believe. You don't think he's going back and forth to the medicals to make sure everything is good while he's going through his training? He's doing all that.
I'm gonna believe that he's doing everything he's supposed to do. But we gonna say we'll
find out
believe
in
it.
April if he's cleared.
We'll find out in April. And but this the
if
question: if Bud was at fault for picking Jeff Horn when he could have picked Errol Spence, where's the same energy for Errol Spence picking Ugas when he could have picked Bud? This is why I say it's toxic to even get into those type of conversations.
It wasn't that Earl could have picked Bud. Earl had already signed a contract with Ugas, so they was trying to get Ugas out of that tournament. He had already signed a contract.
So let me be clear. So he signed a contract either the day before or days before Ugas and Pacquiao, or right when the fight ended, they signed a contract.
They signed a contract because they signed a contract after that.
So I don't know what after mean, like what month time frame, because after that fight, it wasn't long. It was like a month or so later that the WBA said you got to be in this box off. And until they came back and said that Ugas can fight Earl, that was the box off. That was the final conclusion. So to me, once you hear the final conclusion, whether you working on something in the background, won't you take the fight that everybody want to see? But do I call Earl a duck for that? No, I do not. As I said before, I'm not even mad that Earl went and trying to get that extra belt. Maybe he's doing it for leverage. I'm not mad at him. Those three guys should only focus on those three guys. But I'm curious as to find out why the same energy ain't kept on both sides.
Because you got, and another thing is you also got to understand, Earl already told us that's what he was doing. He said it from the beginning. He's getting all the belts on his side, and then he's going for that. So it never changed. He only had 2 fights three fights that wasn't a title fight, which was the Ocampo mandatory. He fought the Mikey Garcia, and then he fought the Danny Garcia mandatory. Those are the only 3 fights he fought that wasn't a title fight. All the other fights he had was title fights.
So do we all know now that Bud tried to get the Errol fight? He was going through Bob. Do we all accept that? We don't accept that?
Say he was trying to get the fight going through Bob?
Well, he was his promoter, and that was who he was under contract with. And based on what he said when he kind of somewhat fired Bob on national TV, can we all agree that the whole time Bud was trying to get the fight with Earl?
I don't know if he was trying to get the fight, but I think he might have said he wanted that fight, and Bob told him no, and he just left it like that. It's the same thing with the Manny Pacquiao. He told Bob he wanted the Manny Pacquiao, and Bob never gave him the Manny Pacquiao fight. He didn't.
But it wasn't because Bud didn't want it though. That's the point.
I didn't say
Bud trying to get it.
He didn't want the fight. I didn't say he didn't want the fight. what I always stood on, which is still fact to this day. Bud never called out Earl Spence when he came to 147. He never called him out. It was no, he didn't. Not when he came to 147. No, he didn't. He called out Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, Danny Garcia. Those were the three fighters. They asked him, "What about Earl Spence?" He said, "Keith Thurman is the man at 147."
Was he not?
Never called out Earl Spence.
Oh, hold on.
It wasn't until the fans started calling for Earl Spence. That's when Bud started calling for Earl Spence.
Dwayne. Was he not the man though when Bud called him out? Who was the man at 147 when Bud called him out?
Well, who was what man?
When Bud came to 147. When Bud came to 147, who was the man?
Manny Pacquiao.
No, it wasn't.
Come on.
Manny Pacquiao been beat by Jeff Horn.
Well, if you want to be technical,
was the man. He was the two-belt unified champion. Yes or no?
Listen, if you want to be technical, it was always EJ because EJ beat the man. When EJ beat Kell, listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying. When EJ beat Kell Brook. When EJ beat Kell Brook was the #1 welterweight in the world. So
how can he be the #1 welterweight in the world when Keith Thurman had 2 belts?
All you got to do is go back and look.
I'm asking.
Look at the facts.
I'm asking
Listen. All you got to do is go look at the facts. When EJ fought Kell Brook was #1 ranked welterweight in the world. So when EJ beat Kell Brook and took his belt, that made EJ the man.
You're not answering my question.
But yeah.
You're not answering my question.
Not accurate.
Here's my question. How could Kell Brook be the man when all he had was the IBL and Keith Thurman had the WBA and WBC? He was the unified champion. So how could Kell Brook be?
Because of who Kell Brook beat, and they put him as #1.
No, but see, listen, sometimes we listen to the powers that be for ranking, and then sometimes we don't. Think about this. If that's the case,
if you want to say who's the man, you got to go by the rank.
But okay, but see, y'all, but sometimes y'all, when I say y'all, all of us, we come up with our own rankings. We know that's subjective. We know that people like they could come up with a ranking we totally don't agree with. But if Kell Brook was the man with 1 belt, then now the EJ, do that mean the EJ is the A side now? Because he's the only one. I'm
gonna break it down to you how Kell Brook became the man. When Kell Brook, when Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fought, Kell Brook was ranked #3. Floyd beat Manny Pacquiao, which dropped Manny Pacquiao down to #3. Floyd Mayweather in turn retired, which made Kell Brook #1. Manny Pacquiao moved up to #2, and Keith Thurman was #3. That's how Kell Brook became #1.
So what you saying? Is you totally agree all the time with the ranking?
I'm just saying when they did the ranking at that point in time, it was correct because Floyd Mayweather was #1, Manny Pacquiao was #2, Kell Brook was #3. Floyd Mayweather beat Manny Pacquiao, which moved.
So by that logic, right? That means that now Terrence Crawford is the #1 welterweight because he's #1 pound for pound, and he's on a 9-fight winning streak. Spence ain't not nobody else's.
Actually, that's not right, and we already talked about that earlier. And the reason why it's not right because Earl Spence was #1, Terrence Crawford was #2, but because Terrence Crawford beat Sean Porter, they moved Terrence Crawford into #1, which Sean was a person that Earl Spence already beat.
Well, that's my whole point. By that logic, you can't say man for beating Sean Porter when Thurman had already beat him.
Moving a post.
No,
you guys.
But what I'm saying is Thurman went on hiatus for 2 years.
Because of moving the post.
That's all I'm saying, bro.
Thurman went on hiatus for almost 3 years.
At the time,
it ain't good for one. It's not good for the other.
At the time of Mayweather's retirement, Thurman was
Thurman was the man. He didn't get that fight. He went to Floyd Mayweather. I mean, he went to.
Go after the man is who got the most hardware, and at that time Thurman had the most hardware. Hold on. Now, Kell Brook, if he was ranked number 1 on somebody's list that they got the power, whatever they ranked him number 1. The time Keith had both belts, he was on the 5.
I couldn't hear you.
That would make right, but now that's what now. Who is the big?
But I mean. At that time, we could say Keith Thurman was number 1.
But who's the big fish? The big fish. Wait a minute, the big fish right now is because belts, and when you hear belt, voila. So I'm just saying, you guys change, the narrative be changing, and that's the thing to be like kind of ooh. And I also want to know when Bud came in.
No, I said we could say Keith Thurman was we could say Keith Thurman was the man. We could say Keith Thurman was the man and all that. He called out Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao, but he didn't go after Keith Thurman. He didn't go after Keith Thurman. He went after Jeff Horn. So you want to say
he went after a champion. So I'm just saying. I guess what's Earl doing right now? He's going after a champion.
I'm not going against that. He got a championship.
Give Bud a problem with that.
No, listen. I'm not going against the fact that he went and got a champion. No, Miss T, what you're missing is I'm not going against the fact that he went at a champion. I'm going at the fact that he said that the people that he wanted was Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao. So why not go after Keith Thurman if you're undisputed? Go for that Keith Thurman fight.
But Keith wasn't giving none of them fights. And that was Keith.
He came to 147.
Go get a belt.
Thurman say? You remember?
Go get a
belt. That again?
What did Keith Thurman say?
Go get a belt. That's
Keith Thurman.
It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, Keith Thurman go get a belt from.
What y'all feel to realize is it doesn't matter if Keith Thurman tell him go get a belt. As the undisputed, when you move up, you become the mandatory. It doesn't matter if I gotta go get a belt or not. I'm your mandatory. So you either gonna fight me or you gonna drop your belt.
Of all the champions, listen, he had the choice to fight all the champions. Jeff Horn won, choosing him. What is the difference? That's what
the difference is he didn't go after.
Tell me, what is the difference? Gonna give him the got all this hate and animosity towards Bud and questioning everything he's doing.
Thurman wasn't gonna fight him. Earl wasn't gonna fight him. He chose the guy who was gonna give him the fight.
Earl wasn't gonna fight him. Earl didn't say he wasn't gonna fight him.
Earl been saying the whole time, I'm gonna clean up my side of the street. Why would I fight you when I can fight Sean Porter? Take the easy route. That's what he said.
Listen, that was after he already got the belt.
The fact.
It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference if you come into the division and you're my mandatory. I have no choice but to fight you if you're my mandatory, or I'm gonna drop my belt. Earl is not going to drop his belt. He's going to fight his mandatory. He's not dropping his belt.
And yes, Bud could have went to him, but Bud could have also went to Jeff Horn, and Bud could have also went to Thurman. He chose a champion, which right now, this is what Earl is doing. He choosing a champion. He could have Bud, because at the time, the answer was no until it became yes. That Ugas had to fight in this box off. It was no, and all of us knew that, regardless of what went in the background. But you know who wasn't no.
And nobody knew that
he could have chose.
Nobody knew that.
I'm not mad at him though. I can look at that and say, hey, he going to get another strap. Good on him. But nobody does that for Bud. That is my issue.
No, Miss
That is my issue. That's my one and only issue.
Miss T, the issue is, the only issue is it has nothing to do with he went and got a champion. That's fine, got a champion. The issue was you was calling for Keith Thurman. So why not use your silver bullet and get Keith Thurman if that's who you wanted? You had a silver bullet to get any champion. So use your silver bullet and get the one that you wanted.
calling
He
for
didn't
you.
want Jeff Horn. He
Then
never
Errol
wanted.
say that Terrence was lighting the ass. Then he say he was lighting the ass. If he lighting the ass, go handle that. I'm just saying it's
But
the same, y'all. It's the same. It's
no,
the same. It's the
see,
same.
y'all keep
And nobody
y'all
gives.
keep
They
looking
don't
at
keep
it.
the same.
Y'all looking at it from a different point. Y'all looking at it from a different viewpoint. I'm looking at it. Okay, that's like me. If I'm calling out somebody and I have one chance to fight this person, I'm gonna use that one chance to fight him. If he drop his belt, then guess what? He has a vacant belt that he's fighting Danny Garcia for that vacant belt, which is another person that he called out. He called out 3 people coming into the division. He called out Manny Pacquiao,
You know what I
Keith
see
Thurman,
in it?
and Danny
I see
Garcia.
strategy. But listen, I'm not even mad. I'm not mad at the strategy that these guys use. What I don't like is unfair narrative that's pushed about one side or the other. I wouldn't like it if they was doing Earl. Earl going to get a strap. Who can be happy about that? I'm happy. But at the same time, the same thing Bud does. When Keith was avoiding Earl, who don't do that? Earl is avoiding Jerron. Bud is avoiding Jerron. Do you see how there's no daylight in what they're doing? And Earl say something. Oh my God, it's the gospel. Like, no, that's not fair, y'all. That's not fair. And so that's why I having an issue with it. Then plus, when you get to talk about resumes, I don't like to downgrade anybody who steps in that ring is a player. You know, that's how I look at it, because everybody can do that.
I mean,
but they'll say Earl's resume is way okay. One fighter he has is Danny Garcia. The other 2, they all share. Don't bring up Chris Algieri. Chris Algieri won't shit before Earl fought him. Now the Earl fought him, he shit. And then Mikey Garcia, I didn't go into that fight thinking 50, 60, 40, 50, 50. I went into fight thinking Earl gonna teach this young boy a lesson. So he ain't even worth bringing up. So what fighters that they got that's better than he?
I don't talk about resumes or none of that. What I talk about is the fact of the fighters. Now, I already know, Miss T, you like both the fighters, but I want to ask you, if EJ and Bud go ahead and fight and Bud lose, how would you feel? Not you, Miss T. I'm talking to him.
At the moment.
How would I feel?
Oh, okay.
How would I feel? Yeah. I would feel on to the next. That's how I would feel. On to the next.
Because I know Miss T like both of the fighters. I know Miss T.
No, listen to me, Bud don't pay me.
I'm gonna keep
Errol don't pay me.
I'm gonna keep
Bud don't pay me. Errol don't pay me.
Huh?
So if whoever loses, on to the next. That's how I'm gonna feel about it.
Now, I'm gonna keep. I hold you to your word. I can't say anything different unless I see something different. But I'm gonna keep it 100. I was a Bud Crawford fan before I was an EJ fan. I knew about Bud Crawford first because I started fighting before EJ. So I didn't know about EJ until he fought Kell Brook. But the one thing that turned me the wrong way, and it goes back to what I said with the Keith Thurman. You call for Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, and Manny Pacquiao, but when you had the opportunity to fight Keith Thurman, whether Keith Thurman was going to fight you or not, if you became his mandatory, he had to fight you or he had to drop the belt. If he would have dropped the belt, you would have had to fight Danny Garcia in that vacant belt. When he didn't go for Keith Thurman and he went for somebody that he was not calling for, that made me look at him different. I'm like, hold up. You wanted this man. You got the chance to get him. Why not go get him? You had the chance to go get him.
Now, do you have this?
Go ahead.
Do you have the same energy for Earl?
Yes.
Okay, everybody, you ask any Earl Spence fan. That's hold on. You'll ask any of them, and they'll say it's been clear. Earl has said he wants to be unmuted. Am I right or am I wrong? Did he say that?
I have the same energy for Earl because Earl hasn't shown me anything.
No, I'm asking.
Earl's
has he been clear for a long time now that he wants to be undisputed? Am I right or am I wrong? When it comes to Errol Spence,
yes.
Has he been clear about that? Is
Yeah,
anybody
he said
unclear?
he want to be undisputed.
Okay.
And
So
I'm
this
and,
is
and I'm holding him to it.
okay.
Go ahead.
So here we go. Here we go. So if he's clear that he wants to be undisputed, we know a fight between him and Ugas does not compare to him and Bud. So it don't matter which one of them he get, you know, because both of them lead to undisputed. So why not go for the Bud fight and get it over with? At this point, will somebody say he ducking? I don't, but I know people say ducking for less things. He just like what you said, if you've been calling for Keith, if you've been saying you want to be undisputed era, and Bud said he was off for Keith, and then we get in the and we say, why didn't they just do this? Why didn't they do that? What I be trying to say, that happens on both sides. The clear fight to make as of after August for Errol Spence should have been Bud. But he was to go.
It couldn't have been made. It couldn't have, I mean, the fight
but either way is going to lead to undisputed. But the better fight would be Bud.
No, the fight with Bud wasn't going to be made. The fight with Bud wasn't going to be made. And like I said, I had the same energy for EJ when EJ got into his car accident. I went on EJ because you're not living a boxer lifestyle. You out here partying, and you got it. You almost cost yourself the career. I went on EJ. I went on his Twitter page and went on him. But I can't knock what EJ's doing because EJ said it before Bud came to the weight class. It wasn't like he said it when Bud got there. It was before Bud came to the weight class. He said, I'm getting all the belts on this side. When I get all the belts on this side, then I'm coming to get that belt. If Bud got it,
what was he saying before that? What was he saying before they had that interaction with each other? Because that interaction wasn't right in the beginning when Bud came.
No, he said that before Bud came to the weight class. When you saw him at that fight behind the scenes, that was him talking to Bud and Bob. He said, okay, when you going to make the fight? When? And they asked Bob 9 times, when can we see them in the ring? Bob never answered the question. EJ said, I'll call Al Heyman.
But wasn't Bud WBO at that time? Wasn't Bud WBO at that time when they had that interaction?
Yes, he was.
See? Was he the WBO champion?
So it's both sides. It's both sides.
You said, was he the WBO champion?
Yeah, he was. At that time that interaction happened.
Did you not hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard you saying that he been clear about what.
Right. What I'm saying is he already knew that it was gonna be a difficult negotiation dealing with Bob. So he said, before Bud even up there, it had nothing to do with Bud. It was never about EJ and Bud. The fans made it about EJ and Bud. It was always about EJ being undisputed. So he said it before Bud even came to the weight class. I'm getting all the belts on my side. When I get the belts on my side, then I get that belt. Bud met him behind after the Mo Hooker fight, and Bud said was good or whatever. I mean, actually EJ called him out because Bud was walking out the door. EJ said, "There you go, right there," and then Bud walked over. And then they asked Bob. They didn't ask EJ. I mean, they didn't ask Bud. They asked Bob. They said, "When can we get him in the ring?" Bob never answered the question, and Bob said, "Oh, you got to talk to Al Heyman." And Earl said, "I will call Al Heyman on the phone right now." And Bob was like, "You don't know Al Heyman." He said, "I talked to Al Heyman plenty of times." So we already knew Bob wasn't trying to make the fight. It had nothing to do with EJ or Bud. But EJ stayed, like I said, the man has been a man of his word. He said he's going to do what he was going to do, and he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He said, "I'm getting all the belts on my side. When I get them, I'm going to see Bud." When he came back off the eye injury,
he has done some things that I would consider this not all the way consistent, but he's an honorable man. I don't knock EJ at all. When the reason why I said I brought this up because I feel like I have to, and sometimes I could take and just listen, and I don't say nothing because again, these are grown men. Neither one of them think that they're scared of the other. Neither one of them are some punk bitches. They are real fucking warriors, And I believe when it's time to get it on, they're gonna get it on. But I'm just saying, the Spence fans, I have to tell y'all make it so hard to be a Spence fan because a lot of times they treat everything Spence said as gospel, like he is not doing the same thing that he's complaining about or that he has complained about. The whole reason Keith Thurman is in the predicament he is in, not just somebody else. Keith has some part that he played into it too. But Errol Spence deemed him invaluable, and now everybody jumped on the bandwagon. When this man he's a true welterweight. He is still a warrior. He's still a formidable partner for somebody to get in the ring with. He lost one fight, and that was to Pacquiao. And then everybody always talk about the records. Okay, what undefeated or undefeated champion, for that matter, did Errol Spence be? Because if that's the case, then he fought everybody's leftover. But we can't say that about Bud. And so I can't. It's something I just can't take it. But go ahead.
The only thing I say I don't like about Bud, not one time have we heard EJ said, I do not want this fight. Not one time have we heard EJ said this fight is not going to happen. We didn't heard that multiple times from Bud. And he just said it recently since he's been gone from Bob Arum. He said it's going to be, nothing has changed. It's either 50-50 or no fight. So
what's wrong with him saying it hard?
He tweeted it. Bud tweeted it.
But what's wrong? Well, what's wrong with Bud saying if no 50-50? That's not saying I don't want to fight him. He's calling for what we know now that Bud is going to call for what he thinks he valued at.
The problem with that is you can't give an ultimatum when you said the same thing that EJ said. You want to be undisputed at this weight class. The only way you can get undisputed is fighting EJ. If EJ get past Ugas, the only way you can be undisputed is fighting EJ. So you can't say 50-50 or no fight when you want those three belts. The same way that EJ can't say going to be
that's assuming
or no fight.
But what you saying, that's assuming that EJ wins this fight. We don't know if he's gonna win this fight or not.
But
it's kind of negotiating,
the business of boxing, it goes off what you bring to the table. We all know that EJ brings the bigger crowd to the table. So if it goes off of what you bring to the table, you can't say 50-50 or no fight when you bring in a smaller crowd to the table.
That's the problem I have. That's the problem right there. What you just said is the problem I have. He can say what he want to say. You don't have to fight. He don't want to. If he can't get the deal that he feels is competitive, he don't have to take the fight. Got a call. I got to
go. All you can go off is the facts.
Yeah, I feel. But listen, this is the thing. We want to go off pay-per-view sales. Now, Bud made a mention, and I know I said it, I repeated it, but somebody said, "Oh, you just saying it because Bud offered it up as an excuse." I'm here to tell you, I would not cake for Bud. When I don't like the ESPN app, I really don't, because even when I try to watch the Brown fight, I only got to see it on my TV. Once I just kept pressing, but it's not user friendly. It just really ain't. Now, regular pay-per-view is user-friendly, and Bud has had some pay-per-view, I believe, and don't quote me on it, but I believe he had one or two where he where you can hit the button, like you do with your DirecTV, just hit the button and you order the fight. This ESPN Plus app is booty. Tyson Fury fights for Bob. He wasn't on ESPN Plus. Motherfucking Lomachenko wasn't on ESPN Plus. So we all see that there's some kind of hidden agenda as to why that was like that. Neither here or there. I give Errol Spence full credit for having two belts and being the A side. I give him full credit.
I can't agree. I can't agree with that because UFC fight on ESPN Plus and UFC don't have no problems. They fight on ESPN Plus. Lomachenko fight.
Why don't he put Fury on it?
Huh?
Anybody can answer that? Why didn't he put Tyson Fury on it? ESPN Plus.
Tyson Fury and Wilder was a co-promotion. So they put it on Showtime. They put it on ESPN. It was on Showtime pay-per-view.
Most
That was
of
show.
Buzz
That
fights
was
are
show.
co-promotion.
Huh?
Most of Buzz fights are co-promotion. His
No, but
opponents
what I'm
don't
saying
be
is
signed to.
Tyson Fury. They was a co-promotion, so they put it on Showtime. They didn't put it
Mhm.
on ESPN. They put it on Showtime pay-per-view.
What
So
about
and
Lomachenko?
then I mean even before this ESPN Plus, you can go to the past fights that he had on pay-per-view. They wasn't on ESPN Plus. He did 120,000 and then he did 50,000.
I thought they
They
said he
both
did
flopped.
90 and then they didn't flop. I thought they said he did 90 or 190 or 130. It really wouldn't
No,
matter though. In the
that
end
was
of
the
the day,
last fight. That was the last fight. I'm talking about the American was 120 and the one
Mhm.
before that was 50,000.
Okay, and again, I think it does factor with the ESPN Plus, but I ain't mad at nobody who don't see it that way. It's cool, but for me, it's not user friendly, and I'm just speaking from experience. And then I'm wondering if it's a top ranked thing. If they own ESPN Plus, why you ain't put your other big fighters on there? You put Brown on there. When Brown just had a fight, it was on ESPN Plus, and it wasn't user friendly then. But you ain't put Lomachenko, you ain't put Tyson Fury on there.
Lomachenko don't fight on pay-per-view.
But Brown, that wasn't a pay-per-view, so you can fight on ESPN Plus without it being a pay-per-view.
No, ESPN Plus is a pay-per-view. You have to pay for ESPN Plus. Yes,
I mean it's not pay-per-view. No. Was Marcus Brown? Was Marcus Brown fight a pay-per-view?
You pay $89 a year, or you pay $19.95 a month, and you get anything that
extra for ESPN Plus.
The Bud fight,
but you don't.
ESPN Plus,
but you don't. Not for the fight. Not all the time.
Yeah,
not all the time.
Regular ESPN
was the Bud fight,
and that fight on regular ESPN. They don't fight on ESPN Plus. They fight on regular ESPN. It's not ESPN.
No, they Bud at one time.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Because the Lomachenko fight
on regular ESPN, I just saw it.
The Marcus Brown fight.
ESPN.
No.
Exactly. That's what we trying to say. The Marcus Brown fight. It wasn't a pay-per-view. I didn't pay nothing for that fight. I didn't pay anything for
regular ESPN.
Right, but so was Bud before. I mean, all of these.
Because it wasn't pay-per-view. That's what I'm trying to say. When it's not pay-per-view, it's on regular ESPN.
Not necessarily. Marcus Brown was just on ESPN. You could watch it on regular ESPN. You had to go to ESPN Plus. And when you got to ESPN Plus, like he said, if you have a subscription to it, you start watching the fight. But if you didn't have a subscription, you had to get one.
Right? I don't have ESPN Plus. I'm trying to tell you.
I'm saying
it was on regular
I only
ESPN.
got it.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It was on regular ESPN. I don't have ESPN Plus. It was on regular ESPN. I don't have ESPN Plus.
That was on ESPN Plus. It didn't work on my ESPN.
I didn't watch the Bud Sean Crawford fight. I had ESPN Plus.
That's the only reason I bought ESPN Plus is for the Sean Porter and Crawford fight. That's the only reason, and I mean only reason. But Marcus Brown fight came up. It would not show on ESPN, not here, and not in Georgia. And so I went on ESPN Plus, and that's why I saw the fight. I didn't have to pay for the fight because I already got a subscription as of me getting one for the Crawford fight. But yeah, I just find it odd that Bud has to go on ESPN Plus pay-per-view, but Tyson Fury and Lomachenko never did. Well, we know Lomachenko never had a pay-per-view fight, but still, he ain't on ESPN Plus. Isn't that odd? That's not odd to anybody.
Well,
of course it's odd. I know what it is, but we ain't gonna say it on your platform, and I know exactly why they did that.
The reason why I say Tyson Fury wasn't on ESPN Plus is because he was fighting Deontay Wilder. Both fights he fought Deontay Wilder, they was on Showtime pay-per-view because it was a culture. The first time was because, the first three fights, all three fights was on Showtime pay-per-view. The first two times was because Deontay Wilder was the champion, and the last time was because of the contract that they had signed, and they fought on Showtime pay-per-view. That's why he wasn't on ESPN+.
However,
We don't know about this.
but
next fight if
however,
he fights,
there's always
Dillian White.
when you fighting top ranked fighters, 9 times out of 10 is a joint promotion. So and those like so if you fighting a PBC
Most
fighter with
PBC
top
fighters
rank,
don't
you know,
fight
it
top
could
rank.
go on
Most
most, but it's
PBC
not a
fighters don't fight.
definite. But it's not a definite. It happens, but it's not a definite. All I'm saying is
But
Aaron fighters. Why opinion turn ESPN Plus pay-per-view? That shit ain't user friendly. I'm not even making that up. That shit is not user friendly.
Well, I mean, I mean, there's a few people said it was an issue with it, and I seen a lot of people say they ain't had no problem. They watched the fight. I didn't watch the fight because I don't have ESPN Plus. I went on live stream and
Right.
listened to the commentator on live stream, so I didn't watch the fight. But
Mhm.
the whole thing is, even with that fight, say that fight would have did 250,000. It still
Mhm.
doesn't add up to none of EJ's fights. All the EJ fights have did at least 300,000. All of them. He hasn't had a fight under 300,000 yet.
And here's the thing. EJ has 2 belts, just like Keith Thurman had 2 belts. So to me, EJ is side. I give it up willingly. I don't even care. I just hope that they get. I'm like you. I hope that they just get in the ring. All 3 of us say that. You know, we just hope that they get in the ring.
I mean,
but I'm just saying, like you could look at what they say on their side and what people say on Buzz. And I'm telling you, you can make a case either side. This stuff about the resume, that shit irked the hell out of me. Who did Errol Spence fight that was undefeated?
I don't go about the resume.
Who did he fight that was undefeated champion? I'll wait. He can't. But does that make me say he's less? No. But for some reason, if people don't like Buzz opponents, he's less than. And I just shit. I don't understand. I really don't. These 2 are at the pinnacle, the game. They are the creme de la creme. And just like we can get mad for Bud choices, we can get mad for Earls. Because if Bud chopping it up with Keith or chopping it up with Earl, then why is Earl doing the same thing? If Spence fans have a problem with Bud doing what he did, why y'all have a problem with EJ doing what he doing? That's my question. Am I wrong?
It's these toxic fan bases. It's these toxic fan bases. Everybody picking a side is tribal. Everybody picking a side. Either you all in for EJ and fuck Bud, or you all in for Bud and fuck EJ. And that's not the way boxing fans should roll, in my opinion. I can't tell nobody how to do their thing because they grown. But that's not how boxing fans should roll. You should want to see the 2 best guys fight. And you don't have to tear one brother down and lift another brother up. You don't have to do that.
You don't have to. I would love for it to get to that point. I had to bring it up, Mr. Shaw, to Dwayne Freeman for coming in, chopping it up with me, giving good conversation. I hope he ain't hang up. I hope he just.
But the connection is going in and out, so he probably just fell off. It's your connection. No connection going in and out too. So he probably just fell off.
I put the link in the chat again. Yeah. But to him for giving good conversation. I know mine is buffering.
Yeah, it's
buffering. See the internet folks alone. We blame. Put on Al. Stop fucking with my internet.
You know, it's always a pleasure. I got to go ahead and make this dinner. But I'm gonna see you again. I'll see you probably tomorrow. I got a little time off now.
All right. Yeah, we was missing you. I was like, where my regulars? Y'all was getting that Christmas money. I ain't mad at you.
Somebody got to do it. All right, Miss T. I'll talk to you soon.
I know, right? All right, King. Andrew Charles said 300K is on the extreme high end of estimates, but no confirmed numbers are out. Yes, and Destiny Black always states that you don't even get confirmation of these numbers unless you breaking records. So I heard that from more than just her. But I don't know. I've never looked into it, but I take her word for it. Andrew Charles said, "Oh, that's Shell." Yeah, and salute, like I said, Dwayne Freeman. Hope we get you back. Thank you guys for listening and all that. I really try not to get into the Errol Spence and Bud thing because it just becomes toxic. But when I ask questions like, what undefeated person that Errol beat at 147? And maybe if I'm wrong, I don't know what undefeated champion has Errol beat. And I have to say at 147 because that's the only division he been at. But even if I say for his career, it's still gonna be just at 147. And then we're gonna hear another cricket, you know what I'm saying? But somehow or another, Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter, and Kell Brook are the top fighters that he has fought. 2 of which Bud fought better than he did. And one, the extra Danny Garcia, I do not give him for Mikey Garcia. That was a joke to me because I went into the fight giving Mikey no chance. I was giving him a boxer's chance, like anything can happen in the boxing ring. That's it. Outside of that, I mean, Earl would have to really be slacking on his pimping for to have lost that fight. I paid for Earl giving the young pup, not young, he ain't even young, but giving his ass a lesson that he needed. He, young pup, as far as the different weight classes, Earl needed to get that lesson. And I was for all that. I'm like, yes, you best believe I bought that fight. But I knew Earl was going to win. That wasn't no competition for Earl at all. He was Jackson. Okay, so I don't give him credence for that. I don't give him, and I don't take nothing from him, but I don't give him credence, is what I'm saying. But I don't diminish him because of it. I don't be like, well, that ain't a notable notch on your belt. But come on, like when you comparing 2 welterweights, I can't throw him in the mix. Then you got Chris Algieri. Chris Algieri won't shit. But he shit when Earl faced him. But before Earl fought him, nobody thought he was the bee's knees. He was a name. We knew of him. What did Chris Algieri, what mountaintop did he conquer? Nothing. Okay. One time that's all EJ had. So now you got one extra fighter above Terrence Crawford in your division. Okay. But we talk about Kell Brook. Kell Brook fought Triple G, got hurt. He supposedly had healed, but apparently he didn't. Or did he heal? I'm going to say he healed because he said he wanted to come back and he came back. So we got to say Kell Brook healed. And Earl waxed that ass. But it was given as well as they could take. But it was going back and forth because there was times when I was looking at the fight, I was like, oh, shit. Kell Brook ain't no joke. He might, But Earl got that relentless spirit that I love so much. He won't, hey, you got to damn near kill this nigga in there. And so that's what I was seeing with Errol Spence and Kell Brook. And he won. But let's say Kell Brook, he hurt the other eye socket. So Kell Brook had to go back, regroup, reheal. So finally he gets to fight with Bud. Bud beat him in better fashion. There should be no excuses when it comes to Shawn Porter. Bud strategically broke his ass down and whooped his ass and hurt him better than Errol Spence did. And when you look at the pictures at the end of the fight, I'm not knocking Earl, but I'm just so sick of these narratives. If nobody have nothing to say when Earl get a fight, or when Earl just have a fight, and then when Terrence was about to fight Shawn, nobody was on Earl ass about who he gonna fight next. I wonder. Okay. All I'm saying is keep the same energy. I like them both, but a lot of times it's hard to like Earl. And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody in particular. I'm talking about the collective. It's hard to like Earl because his fans take it above and beyond. I have to be honest. I do. They'll say Bud fans take it above and beyond. You have never heard me say I'm going to boycott Errol Spence. If somebody want to do it, they do it. But how is that any different from people saying boycott fighters, period? If you're about boycotting fighters, then everybody's on the table for that. How are we going to single out who can get said that about and who can't? We mad because fighters ignoring or pushing them off like Keith Thurman did. Well, what are you doing, Errol? What are you doing, Bud? Should I be mad at both of y'all? Because y'all definitely doing that to Jerron Ennis. Should I be mad at both of y'all? Honestly. Honestly. You say what you want, but you ain't say let's fight. They say everything but let's fight. That's what Jerron Ennis was waiting on. Neither one of them. But we got to throw Keith Thurman away because God forbid he made Errol Spence wait. I just don't get shit like that, y'all. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying just make it an environment where we can love them both. I'm not mad at him going for Ugas. I'm clapping over here like, yes, get another belt king. Get one. You know, but I said even before this was possible, even when Ugas was locked into that box off, that Errol, Ugas, and Bud need to only care about each other. Don't worry about nobody else. I would love for that energy to keep going. That's all I'm saying. So, but anywho, hold on. Andrew Charles said, I'm just not into marinating fights for this long. Me either. You can get hit by a bus tomorrow, God forbid. Anything can happen to you. So why are you marinating it for too long? A year and a half, maybe. I'm in favor of Earl waiting till August to fight. Don't matter what I say. And I know it don't matter, but I have his best interest at heart when I say that. I've been saying that for months. I've been saying that way before Porter and Crawford fought. I've been saying that. If Earl and that was a good question, Dwayne. If Earl and Bud fight and Bud lose, I might be emotional at the moment, just like I was with Deontay Wilder. I actually teared up. I was in the whole section was full of British people, and I was hurt. And they were fabulous fans. They didn't take it to heart. They didn't, you know, they could have been worse, but they were like, oh, it's okay or whatever. I was a little emotional. But the time it took for me to leave my seat and walk out that arena, I was good. As on to the next. Andrew said, I get burnt the hype after a while. I got burnt out on Wilder Fury trilogy a couple of weeks before it happened. I was over it before it happened. Same thing with Floyd and Pac. Yeah, that's what normally happens. If Bud took an in this fight, that would be wild. I'm not against it either. I feel like Bud should do what he want to do. Whatever he do, I'ma support him. And it ain't ducking, and it ain't nothing scandalous, and it ain't whatever. First you say you want him to talk more, he talk more. Now you don't want him to talk more. I just it's like the boy damn if he do, damn if he don't. He not paying me. I'm a big fan, but he coming on my show. I'm talking about Bud. He ain't doing none of that stuff for me. I'm just calling how I see them as fighters. These are great men. Let them be great. That's my message to all of us. They are great men. Let them be great. I listen. Sometimes you can listen, then you kind of break. And for me, y'all see Miss T breaking. That's me breaking. So that's not real bad. Y'all like, oh, that's nothing. It's not nothing, you know. For me on how I carry myself, that's me breaking because I usually wouldn't even engage and I'd just be like trying not to. But now I don't think I can. But that's my statement. That's how I see it. There's no daylight between these two guys. They great. They both great. And we just will love to see them chop it up one day. That's all we hope for. And so to that, when let them do the business, let them be grown men and go behind closed doors and handle their business. Nobody is ducking, nobody is a punk, nobody is a bitch. They're both warriors and they're great creme de la creme African American fighters in America today. Just so happen to be in the same weight division, and we can love them both as I do. I do favor one more. I favor one out the two, and that's just because of how he boxed. I'm more of a fan on how he boxed than the other one. That's it. That's it. They both strike me as great men, great gentlemen. They both. I've never met Earl. I've met Bud twice, but I say that about both of them. And they will make bad choices and decisions, but hey, That's what living life is about. Anyway, when you know better, you do better, right? So until tomorrow, peace.